audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
The world's original podcast.
Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
I have 54 guys on the team right now, so I need to cut somebody.
Dude, how many do you think I have?
Like 46.
Maybe the other team will run the ball and keep the score down for us. Like Saturday night, by the way.
yeah,
Paul's
he's
roster
one of your-
projection is based on how short can we make the game.
If you just read enough different people's summations of Wednesday's practice, you could have found that the Patriots won the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
or they're going to get relegated to the D-League.
Well,
Thursday
if
was
you
a little
read
more.
mine, then you would have been right.
Get those leaf peepers coming up to New England pretty soon.
You didn't miss it when you lived in California? I missed the fall, the changing of the season. I think it was more the weather, though.
There wasn't anything, the falling of the palms or anything. And what's wrong with cheese curds? It's great.
You didn't like them?
You like mozzarella sticks?
Not really.
That's a hot take.
Who doesn't- That is a hot take. I'm with Evan.
It's just a giant hunk of cheese.
Yeah. What's wrong with cheese?
That's
I
a,
need to-
that
I need
is
to
a hot
supplement
take.
That would cause neck problems.
Yep.
Wearing those on a regular
Twisted.
basis at high
They're also
speed
heavier.
collisions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they look dumb.
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Thursday here at Gillette Stadium, and we're getting ready to travel to Nashville. So we've got Alex Barth joining us. Welcome to
Hey.
the big show, Alex.
Thanks. Been looking forward to this.
Yeah, Alex is going to fill in because Evan, who's also here, and I will need to leave at around 1 o'clock to get on the bus. Deuce is here. Tamara will be here shortly, I think. You never know with her. She can just kind of float in and float out.
We think so. She's
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
She's coming.
But, yeah, so good crew today. Welcome again, Alex.
Yeah.
Matt's
Looking
in the
forward
booth. So we're going to talk Patriots, getting ready for the Titans. It's going to be hot.
Hot.
I was looking at my app, my weather app, and 100 degrees tomorrow.
When
Yeah.
we were out on the practice fields, I guess Wednesday maybe, and Stacy turned around and said the heat index at that point when we would have been practicing in Nashville was 114 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
So we were all kind of whoa, kind of glad we missed out on that. But it sounds like it's still going to be a hot one for you guys tomorrow.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So,
and down
conditioning
on the
work?
field, I'm sure it's, hotter than,
Yeah, with the
normal-
pads on and the
Yep.
There she is.
Yeah. There's Tamara.
And the Virginia Tech sweatshirt.
Yeah, she wore it to.
I wore this week.
Yeah.
I gotta get on
I don't know. She can't talk yet.
Yeah. We can't hear you.
I just think it's funny though because Bart's gonna cross over a little bit and
Yes.
Andy and Paul were kind of together forever, and me and Fitzy were kind of a pair, and you guys are kind of a pair, and then now Fitzy and Andy do a lot of things together, and me and Paul do stuff together. So maybe we're gonna steal Barth from you. You gotta watch
That's
out.
okay,
You're
you can
you're
have
gonna
him.
lose your dance partner here for.
Yeah.
No.
We need a partner for Tamara.
Who's your dance partner?
Isn't that
Yeah.
Alex?
Alex.
Yeah.
It's Alex.
Female Alex, as I call
Other
her.
Alex.
She never
Alex.
comes down anymore. She doesn't like us anymore, I don't think.
Yeah, we gotta find her.
Yeah.
Get her down here.
So I wore this Virginia Tech crew neck, almost said hoodie, because I knew Barth was going to be here, and he's a big college football guy.
Oh, we just
Right.
did.
And
You missed it.
so-
We just did 10 minutes on all the guys that Bart's going to draft next year.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So that's why
Yeah.
I wore this today, because it's week 0. I knew Barth would appreciate it, and I'm so excited
He'll
for college
give
football.
you a full rundown
Oh,
on
yeah.
the Hokies. He'll tell you everybody. Players to watch on the Hokies. Go.
I had a guess. So I put up this morning. Every year before week 0, I do here's 8 or 10 guys that I'm watching as potential Patriots. I have a Virginia Tech guy on the list.
Oh.
I'm guessing defense. It has to be
It
defense.
is defense,
of
yeah.
course. Our defense is all that I'm riding on right now, because the offense is going to be terrible.
So, Alex, for our fans that may not be familiar with you, I can't believe that, but you never know. You're at 98.5.
Yes.
And you do a lot of the writing for 98.5, but I hear you a lot on the morning show. You do appearances and throughout the day, different, whenever they want to really talk football.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
They get you on there.
Yeah.
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 There's another person at 98.5. I think her name is Kendra Middleton.
Yes.
She does mornings now with Lipschatz.
Yeah.
And she knows a lot of college football. It seems to me, anyway.
Yeah, she's a big college football person. I mean, she's from Jacksonville. She's from the heart of it.
Yeah.
So she's a pretty big college football person too. So it's nice to and Lifshatz and Joe Murray are too, because they do the betting stuff. So
Right.
we got some college football
you get
people
some
down
college
there now.
people at 98.5.
Yeah, when they want to stop talking about the drama and the palace coups, they bring Alex on and he tells them what's actually happening with the football team.
What was it? I was on with them. It was one of the days during camp, and Felger comes and gets me from the media working with us. You want to do a couple minutes? We're talking about Tyquan Thornton. I'm like, sure. goes, so, what do you think of Tyquan Thornton so far? It's not great. He goes, wow, from you? He was like, couldn't believe it. So
It's truth.
I used to spar with him on a regular basis. All right, so we didn't have a show yesterday, Wednesday, but they had practice. So why don't we update people on who's in, who's out, what do they look like?
Yeah, and when you back out there, limited, went up to the upper fields, but good positive, strides for him just to be in pads. Pierre Strong out of the red jersey, that's a good sign. Maybe he can play. I mean, I think that's a good topic for discussion about those running back spots with Elliott, Stevenson, and it seems like Montgomery's back. So those three seem like the guys, but probably one more. Is it Pierre Strong, Kevin Harris,
JJ Taylor?
JJ Taylor.
It's my guy right now.
I don't know.
I
He
don't know.
looks
AJ.
so good.
Really?
He always
Yeah.
looks good.
Really?
He looked good against Green Bay.
He did. He had I was really
Well,
impressed
he
with
had
what
that
he
one
did against Green
play.
Bay.
He caught that check down
Yeah.
and did some things after the catch, which was nice to see. But I would expect that from him.
Threw,
But-
threw his
but I
weight around and
also-
pass
Yeah,
protection
no,
a little
he
bit.
made some plays in pass
Yeah.
pro.
Okay.
And I also just liked how Bill mentioned he's light years much better of a player than he was when he first got here, just in all aspects of the game, not just running the ball. He was his pass catching ability is so much better than it was last year. So I'm wondering, is
So
it
who,
possible?
who goes if he makes the 53?
Ty Montgomery.
Montgomery.
Ty Montgomery.
I was just going to
Yeah.
say that's
Mhm.
probably the guy, right?
Yeah.
I think it
Oh,
comes down
God.
to how much do they trust Ty Montgomery to be available. Because Montgomery's essentially a better version of J.J. Taylor, but if he's going to be here for 2 weeks and get hurt and then you maybe lose J.J.
Right.
Taylor,
Right.
you're out of luck.
I think that's fair, but I just wonder, has J.J. Taylor improved so much on last year when he couldn't even get on the field when they were just running Ramondre into the ground? Has he done that much? I always think he looks great in the preseason. I thought he'd look great when they initially signed him. I'm like, this is going to be a fun guy in the preseason. I don't know, though. I'm still a little skeptical that he's going to, be the fourth running back on this team and play a role after 2 years where he can't even really get on the field, even when they were, desperate for a guy.
Also, I keep saying, when you have an offensive line who literally can't do anything, he can slide through the smallest little places.
Run in between
I
Trent
don't
Brown's
know.
legs.
I would say, too,
I love that team.
Yeah.
in terms of not being
He
able to
can
get on the
hide.
field, I mean, Kendrick Bourne was a guy they probably could have used last year who couldn't get on the field, and he's had a good camp. So.
No, that's fair with with the passing offense, but I wouldn't rule Pierre Strong out yet. I still think he's got maybe more of the full package that you're looking for without the size concerns with Taylor, but I don't know. We'll see. It's a good debate, and I think these guys will all have a chance. Hopefully Strong can go so we can at least have a chance to compete for it.
It seems to me like right now the only person that you can depend on to, for yards after the catch in small spaces from the back position is Ramondre.
Mm-hmm.
We've
Yeah.
seen him be shifty. Everybody else is kind of straight ahead, kind of back. I haven't seen enough about Ty Montgomery lately to know.
No,
I just
Right
don't
out
know.
there.
I think
Yeah.
Alex's
Right.
point is totally apt, though. He's just always been hurt. There's
Right.
no. It's almost comical how we got hurt day 3 after the first couple days being so
Yep.
involved, and here we go again. So I totally get that point. But I will say, not having really watched a lot of Ezekiel Elliott, I think he's got a little shimmy that I didn't really realize for a big guy going through the hole. He's got a little, he's got some little bit of lateral movement that I was, just surprised because I thought he'd look more. Not that I'm sure he's a better player than Kevin Harris is at this point, even still, but more of that
Well,
big straight ahead kind of guy.
You just wonder, change of scenery, new life, at least come out of the gate. Maybe Ezekiel
I
Elliott
like him.
surprises us a little bit.
I like his energy.
Yeah.
And, he had his first media appearance yesterday, and he said he feels ready to go. Obviously, he wasn't around a team this offseason, but he
he's
looks
only
good.
28. Now,
Yeah.
I know 28 as a running back is 32
Yeah.
in other positions, but, let's see. Maybe he had a good off season for himself,
You
Yeah,
think he plays tomorrow?
I think so. I think he's going to play a little bit. I think I've always thought of Zeke as having good vision and being able to set up blocks. And I always thought that was the strength of his game, but seeing him up close, he's super efficient through the line of scrimmage. He knows, he sees it quickly and he makes really good decisions with the ball in his hand. And I think that's, sort of what Mike was speaking to is that it's not he's not a jitterbug. He's not going to juke people out of their shoes, but he takes really good angles through the line of scrimmage and sets it up with his footwork. And he's a pro. He knows, he knows how to set things up. He knows where his blocking is going to be. He knows, where the holes are, and he's been pretty good, I think, from what we've seen.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of the way Curtis Martin or Emmitt Smith used to run. They would never really take on square hits. They'd use those angles like you were talking about really well. Good vision. So, we'll see. We'll see. But I think it's a good pickup. I think, just having him in the backfield to pick up, pressure, I think that's really valuable.
I know. I said to Evan, I'm like, he might be their like second or third best blocking offensive lineman right now. With
Well,
how he passed
that,
protects.
I did want to
He
segue.
did play center last year for one snap, and it did not go well.
I did
Can he
want
play
to
tackle?
Yeah, I did want to segue to the offensive line because that's, to me, that's the big question right now going into the season is how is this O-line going to be?
Well, I mean, I think on when you know, that's a good sign. I mean, Cole Strange seems like he wants to just like sneak out onto the field. Like every time I see, all of a sudden he's like walking
in,
out with
coach.
his, like, Coach, I'm gonna go in real quick. No, Cole, not yet. You're not ready. But I mean, he's been popping out at practice for a while now. Not in pads, but he comes out in a jersey and shorts.
Who's going to be our starting right tackle?
City. Right now, it's
City
Oh,
Center?
no.
Really?
It should be Mike Onwenu,
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean, based on
And
what
then
they say,
who
it doesn't
kicks
sound
over
like
to
they want
guard?
him there.
Riley Reef.
Keep Reef
Okay.
there.
So me and Evan talked about this on Catch 22. The one reason, and
Did you talk about the
Nice tease. Thanks.
PFF, I call it?
Yeah.
we
I
did
call
we
him-
did talk about, but not in that contest.
Yeah,
When did
yeah.
we? Oh, it was kind of similar.
Yeah.
The one reason I'm holding out hope, and maybe my hopes are up and they shouldn't be, but for Onwenu playing right tackle is we know that big word for them on the offensive line is continuity. They want guys in their spot, repping in their spot, guys who are going to play next to each other, used to playing next to each other. If the plan was to play Mike Onwenu at right guard, you'd think Riley Reef would maybe still be in the tackle conversation, at least rotating with City. So we haven't seen that. It's been Riley Reef at right guard. So is that because that's where he's going to play? And maybe City So is actually the placeholder right now. And that way, when Mike Onwenu comes back, instead of it being, all right, we're going to put Onwenu in, we're going to move Riley Reef over, So out, it's just one in, one out, Onwenu for So. So that's one way to look at it. I don't think it's definitive, but I do kind of see that and wonder, especially after the way City So played last week, is this them kind of saying that, all right, Riley Reef is our right guard?
So is McDermott hurt? Is he out of the
Yeah,
He hasn't been
first-
practicing.
First day at Packers
Yeah.
joints, he got hurt then, and we didn't see him second day.
We've
since.
seen the stock take a
Yeah.
on Connor McDermott. First like couple days in pads, I was like, Connor McDermott, all right, here we go. And then it started to go downhill already, and then he hasn't been out there with it.
Wait, he was good up until the Texans game, I thought.
Yeah.
And then they played him out of position, and then we just haven't seen him since. So that was kind of weird.
What, left tackle, right? So
Yeah,
like
which
he's
he's
a left
never
tackle, you
played.
never
It's just-
seen him there.
They
not
have
a left
so
tackle.
many injuries on the offensive line that it's just kind of odd that they're almost just need to get through the preseason in some ways. So like what Alex's point about, it makes total sense that Reef would be at guard and that would mean that Onwenu is actually getting ready to play tackle and they wouldn't change it up. But I don't even know how much of that is just we got to play everybody somewhere and we're not trading So to be a guard. We're trading him to be a it seems like it's just been so dire. Oh yeah, they're
Alex
they're
making
on
a
you again.
double
Oh, great.
appearance,
Here we go.
Alex.
All right.
Matt McCarthy, I'm planning on going to both Springsteen shows with Alex. So you're going to both.
Is that
Yeah.
true? Is that
Yeah.
accurate?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I
Something to
wrote-
do.
maybe
Big
for-
Springsteen fan?
For hour 2, I wrote down
Yeah,
my,
I grew
my
up
favorite.
listening to him a lot.
Don't undersell it. You were a huge Springsteen.
I mean, I
fan.
grew up listening to him, but I'm not a huge fan.
And you were like in New Jersey too, Fred, for a while. Like
Well, that was
should
when
be
I was-
speaking to your
Yeah.
roots.
That was before Springsteen. I was young.
Sprung from the cages at Highway 9, Fred. That's just like you.
Route 9?
literally-
Yeah.
I lived off Route 9 on Ryan Road
There you-
in Manalapan.
There you go.
Yeah.
Fred also said that there's not many like people that he would want to go see in concert. Like he's like,
These days. Correct.
yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, the crowds. There's no one that I'd be willing to put up with the crowds to see at this point. Yeah. Even like, some of these bands that come back and they're too old. Like I wouldn't even go see the Rolling Stones if you gave me a free ticket. I've seen them
Even with a free ticket.
Yeah, I've seen them before.
Oh, they're too old.
Plenty of
I
times. They're too
don't.
old.
I don't believe that. You would go if it's free.
No.
Rolling
It's too
Stones?
much of a pain.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I'd go.
Putting up with humanity. Ugh.
What's the difference between doing that and going to a football game and dealing with people? Like,
He
there's
sits
still,
in the press box.
Right.
But as a fan, so you're saying you wouldn't go
walks
to a game
right
as
in,
a
walks
fan?
right out.
It's different. It's different. Sporting event, like you want to listen to the music, right? And everyone's doing all this other stuff. At football, at least everyone's watching the game. You're kind of all doing the same thing, unless you get unlucky and you're next to some drunkard. But, I don't know.
Chiefs fan.
That never happens at Gillette
Like,
Stadium.
like
though.
I like sporting events are still okay, but concerts, I don't know, it's too much. too much.
Anyway, can I bring it back to So for a second?
No.
Yeah.
What do you think of the ramifications, though, of him contract-wise if you play him this year at right tackle? Does that make
You
it
mean Onwenu?
easier? Sorry, what did I say?
So
So-
So
it's
sorry.
okay. It's confusing.
Well, yeah, but that's what I meant.
So
The ramifications of that.
I've thought about this too, because on the one hand, it would not be very Patriots to help a guy make more money
Right.
in the free agent market, right? Because then he's going to price himself out. But if you're Mike Onwenu, then you're begging them to play you at right tackle. Like, I had good film there as a rookie. If I have good film again there this year, then the league might view me as a right tackle, and now all of a sudden I'm making $10+ million a year to play right tackle. I think that is a factor. I think it's a factor of whether or not they're going to kick him outside of his market next year. Now, the one thing you can bank on, the franchise tag is all-encompassing. It's guard, center, tag. Like, there's just one offensive lineman franchise tag. So they wouldn't necessarily need to worry about it from that perspective.
But it's really a tackle tag because of the way it's structured.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have to. I mean, they tag Joe Tooney as a guard.
That's true.
So I don't think that they would necessarily worry about it from the tag perspective. But I've thought about the open market perspective could definitely change.
Is there? And we talked about. I think it was a left tackle from the Cardinals who
Jones.
Josh
kind of
Jones.
sitting on the
Yeah.
bench now.
Yeah.
It might be excess baggage for them. Any chance you bring somebody in there and then you kick over Trent Brown back to right tackle, which is better for him, and
See what
now
happens.
everything's settled.
Maybe with Anderson. See what happens with Calvin Anderson. I know Mike Reese wrote that he was getting close. We haven't seen him out there yet, but I mean, I do feel like he's a potential left tackle option that you have in house already. That maybe if they're like he's going to be back next week, then I would at least give him a chance.
Because if you can do that, now you've got a settled line with some depth.
Yeah,
You know,
and I would just say too, like to my point, I think like in the best case scenario, it's to play the rookie, you know, and then to have Riley Reif, who can play 4 spots on the offensive line, to be the 6th lineman and to be able to fill in at those spots. So, I mean, I totally get what these guys are saying, and if you're probably putting your best 5 out there, it probably isn't when you at right tackle. But I just think for the long-term stability of the team, especially when you have when you up for free agency next year, I think, you know, ideally maybe you find something with Sal or Mafi. I keep going back and forth. So Sal, it just depends on
Me
the
too.
sentence.
Which is it?
What I call him.
It's so.
it's so.
City so.
It should be like Urban Knitter instead of
yeah,
Urban Piggin and
urban knitter. Yeah.
I feel like this is what people do with my
Urban
name.
Crocheter.
What?
I feel like this is what people do with my name.
Tamara.
Braun. Oh,
Tamara.
Tamara, Tamara.
And it's
Oh.
Tamara.
Yeah.
never Tammy.
We're right?
No.
It is Tamara.
Tamara. Yeah.
Get the air in the middle.
This whole time it was just Tamara.
And the last name is pronounced Smith.
Really?
Braun.
I have the easiest last name ever. And it's funny when I tell people like my last name, they're like, "Can you spell it?" I'm like, "The color," and they're like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, it could be Braun, perhaps.
Braun.
Yeah.
Braun.
No.
It's Braun.
She
Or
doesn't look like
Browne.
No.
I've heard it.
Yeah, I've seen it with an E at the end.
Yeah.
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 Brownie.
The color.
Do you know there was a public relations person? I think she was with the Dolphins. Her name was Fudge Brownie.
What?
That was her name.
No, it wasn't.
Fudge
Fudge.
Brownie.
That
I don't
Fudge
believe
had to
it.
have been a nickname.
Yeah.
No, that's like you know the NFL comes out with a black book that is all the staffs of all the various teams, and that's what was listed. Fudge Brownie.
She's very sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet girl.
Yeah. But she was nuts.
Was a slow burn on that one.
All right. 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket Hotline. Web radio at Patriots.com is the email address. All right, so that's the offensive line. We're hoping, we see some people back for this game. Get some rust off anyway.
So
Who else might we see this game? That
Well,
get extended looks that have potential to
let me just preface that with guys we actually Gonzalez got a little dinged up,
Yeah.
little ankle thing right at the end of practice yesterday. I know Henry, I didn't see the Henry one. He got dinged up a little bit, and Douglas has been really not participating. He's been warming up and then going. So 3 guys that
They're hiding
all
Pop
are,
Douglas so much that now he's not even practicing in front of the
But
media.
I would imagine, even if it's minor,
I
you
think
we
all 3 of
probably
those
won't see
guys, probably
Gonzalez.
Keon White with
Yeah.
his. I mean, he seemed like he was right back out there and no worse for wear after that injury he had briefly in the second Green Bay practice. But I suspect we're not going to see those guys. Which
Probably
is a
put
bummer.
Gesicki on that list too. He's
Yeah,
been in the red
jersey the whole time.
Alex, are you as high on Keon White as I am?
Yes. I see a potentially more athletic Trey Flowers. Trey Flowers was my comp from coming out, and I just feel like that's
Like
been
that.
built on. And it's part of the reason I like the fact they signed Trey Flowers, honestly. What a great asset for Keon. What a great guy for Keon White to learn from. But I think you look at a guy that is built and has the play strength of a traditional strong side edge setter, but has some more athleticism to maybe deal with some faster quarterbacks, or if teams are going to try to, put him in conflict at the point of attack and read options or things like that. Really new, agey defensive lineman. And there's a couple different things they can do with him. I know we saw him standing up a little bit. I think he should mostly play hand in the dirt, but what a fun find for them. What a player that gives them a lot of different things.
And I want to ask you, because I don't get to talk to you as much, but in your opinion, does he have the potential to be better in the pros than he was in college?
Oh, yeah.
Relatively speaking.
So, to me, he's an upside player, and that's part of the reason I'm so encouraged. His background, he was at Old Dominion as a tight end, and then moved to defensive end, had to sit out the COVID year, so really not a ton of playing time at the defensive end position. He's just sort of a freak athlete, and they've done this in the draft to different extents the last couple of years. This guy's really strong. This guy's really fast. This guy's really big. We're going to draft him and teach him how to play football. So when they picked him, I was like, this is great. Like, what a guy to mold into what you want him to be. But he's even more of an athlete than maybe I thought he'd be, and he's clearly a quick learner, too. So I think his ceiling's even higher than what we've seen. But, yeah, I think he has a lot of potential, because I would say his pick was a lot more upside than it was floor.
I think some of the plays, to your point, Alex, that stood out to me in that first game were just his pursuit after the play. Yeah. I mean, getting back over, to get C.J. Stroud, after a couple yards. I mean, he seems to play the game at a really good clip.
I think the play that defined him for me this year was, I think it was the second play of the game. Whoever the tackle is he was going against, just throws him off of him, explodes out of stance, throws him off him, and he's got a straight shot at C.J. Stroud. And you can't really practice that, right? Because you don't hit the quarterback. And it's him and C.J. Stroud looking at each other, and he's kind of like, now what? Now what do I do? And he over pursues, and Stroud whips around him. Very coachable moment.
Yeah.
Very coachable moment. But the way he gets alignment off him, close the distance between him and Stroud, he's just got to learn kind of what to do at the point of attack, which will come. It's true for a lot of young pass rushers. I saw that play, and I was like, all right, here we go. This guy's got something.
Yeah, the closing burst to the quarterback has been impressive. I didn't think he had that playmaking gear on film at Georgia Tech, but he showed a much different gear in terms of closing to the quarterback, exploding out of his stance, finishing plays. And they have two really, really good coaches in Joe Kim and DeMarcus Covington that will teach him how to use his hands and get off blocks.
Yeah, because his stats in college really didn't tell you that he would have that.
Right. Well, because again, he was still learning. I was giving Evan. I was kind of getting on Evan for this on Catch 22.
Yeah, shocker.
You didn't see his explosiveness when you watched him at Georgia Tech. When you went back to Old Dominion and watched him as a tight end, you saw how well he moved in the open field, and so I think you're seeing some of that translate and carry over.
All right, who's this nose tackle? Because when they signed him,
Evan
Marquand.
Here today, gone tomorrow.
He was running around with his shirt off.
That was our guy going into the draft last year. Me and him were both really high on Marquand.
I said to Deuce, how many mock drafts did we do where we took Marquand McCall in the 7th round?
One. Sixth round, Marquand McCall, because everybody wanted Jordan Davis, and then Travis Jones, the kid from UConn, in the second round.
Jordan Davis.
That's what you were like. Get him in the 6th or 7th round.
We got 6th round Zay Flowers. We got 7th round Jordan Davis. It's all going to work out. Don't worry.
So I guess he failed his physical, and he's out.
Yeah, so much for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Here today, gone tomorrow.
Yep.
So they do have an open
roster.
Hey,
listen, that's one of those that, hey, look, you get healthy, we'll call you back in a couple of weeks now. Carl Davis, these just big nose tackles that they've liked over the years. That's Marquand McCall.
Marquand McCall's not big. He's big.
Yeah.
He is down.
He's 400 big, right?
He was. So he was playing at 6'3", 380 in college. He's now at 6'3", 340. And there's actually this really interesting piece somebody did when he was at Kentucky about his process of losing weight and how he felt like it would help him and all of that. But he is, he's got, 30 pounds on Vince Wilfork or something like that. He eats up space.
Yeah, so he's a really big dude.
Did he fail because of... He didn't fail because of weight.
No,
knee injury. He's carrying around all that weight. Not good for the knees.
Yeah.
Also, apparently, he claims he lost all that weight because he just stopped drinking apple juice.
What?
Apple juice?
Yeah. Said he really liked apple juice.
There's a lot of sugar
Wait
in
a minute,
that.
but how much apple juice are you drinking?
Lots.
Gallon.
Enough,
No,
apparently.
when I was a kid in
Mott's.
high school, I would literally drink a half a gallon of orange juice at a sitting.
Oh, my God.
A half a gallon.
What?
I would
you a Mott's
chug
guy,
I would
dude?
just take that out of the fridge and chug it. And we would have it delivered.
Tropicana?
Because we had the milk guy.
Never
he
from
would
concentrate.
deliver milk, Hood, and orange juice. And we would just buy it, and I would just chug
Freddie, you're drinking all
Orange
the orange
juice is
again?
not that good.
I love it, but it's not. It's
I
got
like-
a lot of sugar.
It does.
Yeah.
But I like it in the morning. It cuts through the morning grime and
Yeah,
just, clears
that's
it
right.
out.
Yeah.
No,
That's my
no.
strategy. Like if I start feeling sick, I'll go buy like a gallon of orange juice and just inhale it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Flood.
I don't know. I'm an apple juice guy.
I like apple juice too. I like
Mott's
gran-
apple juice,
I
right
like
where it's at.
I like fruit juice in general, but it's not always the best for you.
That's true.
How come there's no alcoholic drinks with apple juice?
There
Like
are.
orange juice, raspberry. I can't think of any. Is there an apple juice?
Isn't
I
it
mean,
Oh,
like
yeah.
apple martini.
Does
Yeah.
cider
Hard
count?
cider.
There's
Yeah.
apple martinis.
Yeah, but
No,
but never like give me an apple juice and vodka or
That's
like,
basically what
Reds. That's
cider
what
is.
red. That's what Reds is. Reds is not.
It's just
It's
that.
called a cider. It's not a cider. It's just apple juice and beer.
I feel
apple
like
juice and
dark
something.
alcohol, dark liquor
Yeah.
is good with apple juice.
Oh.
Don't quote me. Like cran apple.
a whiskey and apple juice.
Like there's a cran
No, there's
apple.
like-
No, whiskey.
Isn't there?
It just sounds weird.
No, I get this this like maple whiskey.
Oh,
Do that with some like warm apple juice, a little cinnamon.
3 fingers.
oh, you can do the peanut butter whiskey.
I wonder
and
if the
apple
real
juice.
health conscious people have V8s in vodka.
Ooh.
Ew.
Get your.
Well,
veggies
that's
in.
a
Well, you have
That's
like
basically a Bloody Mary,
Bloody
isn't
Mary,
it?
kind of.
Yeah,
People-
but V8 has it's more
got like
concentrated.
That's
true.
It's got
It's like
101 vegetables.
the real
and
healthy
minerals.
people just like mix it with water.
V8.
No, water and alcohol,
Oh,
so that you
I
don't
know
have.
I got a buddy
You don't
that
have the
drinks
extra
vodka
calories,
waters.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're called alcoholics.
Yeah.
Well, we got Evan on the high noon train now. So,
Oh,
so
yeah.
he's
Oh,
off
he's
of
a
beer,
nooner
too.
guy now?
Yeah,
Big
oh,
nooner
we
guy.
were doing nooners in
Those
Green
give
Bay.
me headaches.
we
Yeah.
only a
Oh.
couple. Only a
No,
couple.
they just melt away like
No.
they're nothing, and then all of a sudden, like, whoa, 3
No.
nooner. You get that 3 nooner, a little rush.
And then you wake up
all
at
you
3
young
nooner
kids
the
are
next
drinking
day.
drinking those fruity drinks now, and those
they're not that fruity though.
those
Like,
seltzer-
I gotta say, 100
those-
calories is nice. You know, like you
Yeah.
don't want to feel like
It's
you're-
refreshing and it's lighter than beer, so you don't feel beer like I feel like I'm like drinking a meal when I
Yeah,
drink.
right.
Well, but that's like
some
you can
beers.
do that with the seltzers too.
Well,
Yeah.
here's the thing about beer that people do wrong. It's how they pour it. And people
Yes.
people
I
say
know this.
if you pour it down the side so that it doesn't have a head and then drink it, you're going to get bloated a lot quicker because all the gases haven't
You have to
released.
tilt it.
What
Yeah.
you're supposed to do is pour it right down the middle and let that head
Yeah.
form, and that releases the gases and it won't bloat you as much.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I've been doing it wrong this whole time.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have too.
No wonder why I get so
I'd
bloated.
be like, oh,
when
look how
drink
good
beer.
I am. I don't have
Yeah,
a
you
head.
want to do the bartender pour it? No,
I
just
know.
let it foam up.
Interesting.
I still like my nooners.
It's a good marriage tip, Evan. Just always release your gases before
Right.
before you get it in at
Yeah.
night. You know, release those gases ahead of time, and then you won't get in trouble later.
Yeah.
That's why you volunteer to walk the dog, Mike.
Oh my god.
All right. What else do we need?
Did you get engaged?
Oh my god.
We're like
I
walking through
don't
Green
know.
Bay, and it's like Vince Lombardi's like, "Hey, Evan, congratulations!" Like everybody,
Vince
like Mike
Lombardi's,
Pellegrino.
Vince Lombardi's dead. Like,
Donald,
And he
Dri-
came
still
back from the
congratulated you.
Donald Driver's statue waved to him.
Congratulations, Evan.
Literally, players going to the podium like, "Aren't you on your honeymoon?" Like,
Yeah.
Jordan Love is like, before I start, I just want to say,
love is real.
I can't.
Thanks, everybody.
no,
Thank you.
but in all seriousness, we were there one day, and Mike Pellegrino was like, "Hey, did you get engaged?"
Yeah.
like
But
a
I like,
month
you know,
ago.
like a lot of hardcore football fans. They tell their fiance, we can't get married during football season. Evan includes OTAs.
Oh, yeah.
OTAs.
No, there's
football,
only one
Oh,
week
yeah.
that they can
This
get
is
married.
like
It's
one
this
month.
She knows the schedule. She knows, well, that's going to be the draft, and then that's going to be OTA. And I'm like, yeah, so our sweet spot is literally like July 4th. Like we need to get married between like that 1 month period between the end of mini camp and the beginning of training camp. That's our
Yeah.
sweet spot.
And honeymoon. Bang them both out
Yeah.
quick. Got like 6 days for that.
Wow.
Get back.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
I feel like. Wait, when was the last show? 10 to 12? Tuesday?
Yeah.
So that was before we saw Gesicki back to practice, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to see him
He
back.
got out there.
He's in a non-contact jersey.
A little
but it's good to see
surprising.
him back.
Yeah, I mean, I
I-
didn't see the injury, so I don't know how surprising.
Oh,
it
it was
actually
pretty bad.
Yeah,
I
he was
pretty
he was
surprised.
hurting.
Yeah. I just all I know is when I walked out there and we were doing attendance, Alex and I, he was on the binocs and he's like 71, and I was like 71. Like I was
It's
like, what do you mean?
happening.
And I gotta admit, like sigh of relief, honestly, like seeing just one
Yeah.
starter back out there on the offensive line, 71 Mike Onwenu, obviously, like that was just he is just a monumental addition because we weren't sure if he was gonna be ready to go, and if he starts the year on PUP, then he's out for the first 6 weeks of the year. So I think he's going to start week 1. I think he's going to be good to go.
Oh, that's great.
I just feel weird about Strange because it didn't feel like, even when he got hurt,
Yeah.
it didn't seem like that big a deal. Like he was kind of like still working on it and running around.
It was
little bit.
reported that day that
Yeah.
it was. I think the phrasing was not very serious or whatever.
It's bizarre, but I want to bring up something that Paul was one of Paul things was that even if those guys are ready to go, there's a good chance they're not gonna play wire to wire week 1.
Thank
so
you.
Yeah.
you're gonna need to see some of these young kids
Yeah.
probably like Mafi. I would guess Mafi's gonna play some guard.
I'd be okay with
in some
playing
capacity.
Mafi. I think he's been, especially just the way that he plays. I know stunts have been an issue for him up front, twists and stunts, things like that. But he just plays such a rock solid brand of guard that they can probably be okay if he's in there. City So is a complete project, and I want no part of him trying to block Hassan Reddick week 1. But
Well, I don't want to like get too far ahead, but week 1, do you think the game plan will be to shorten the game, try to keep it on the ground, keep Hurts in the offense off the field, or do you think they'll open it up?
It's a tough defense to run against.
Yeah.
It is a big bunch of boys up there. But I
Yeah.
mean, Jordan Davis and I mean,
And I got Jalen Carter
Yeah,
now.
I mean, it's like Georgia and Alabama like up front. Like there's no easy answers against those guys. The Patriots are gonna have to play great on both sides of the ball.
Yeah,
I think.
they're a Fangio tree team. They run a lot of Vic Fangio stuff.
Fangio.
So it's a lot of zone, and there will be openings in the passing game if they can block it. But if they can block it, it's probably going to be what we repeat for the next 17 weeks of the season. So, the Chiefs obviously is a totally different animal, and I know we're don't have Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce or the Chiefs offense, but they put up yards against that defense, and I think the Niners probably would have too if Brock Purdy didn't get hurt. So I think the secondary is not as good as the front. The front's unbelievable. They have one of the best fronts in the league.
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think the Cole Strange thing is like probably like Trent Brown, where they're like it's a very small injury, but they don't want to like push it. And I'm kind of hoping the same for John Jones. I don't know
just
what's
like
happening
with him
but-
though, he wasn't good enough as a rookie to like give him that type of treatment, and I
Yeah.
really feel like the padded practices would have done him a lot of good of trying to make that year 2 leap.
Totally agree.
And last year I don't think he was very good last year. I know that he had some good games and he was better down the stretch, like the last month or so of the season he was okay, but. I don't think it's talk radio fodder to say he got benched twice. Like he legitimately got benched twice. Like there's no other way to put it.
But do you think because of the depth issue, they're like, we can't risk him trying to make him better by sending him out there? We need to.
I don't feel
kind of
that great
protect
about
him.
it. I mean, I think Trent maybe because they got like nothing besides Trent at tackle, but I'm with Evan, and I think just as to connect it to the Eagles, I mean, talk about what Cole Strange struggled with last year. The Eagles got about 5 of those guys in that front that are just going to walk him back into the quarterback if he's not ready to play power guys.
And Evan, you bring this up a lot. That like you can kind of hide one spot on the offensive line. In last year, that was Cole Strange until David Andrews got hurt. Remember, those were his worst
And
games.
he got exposed.
You can't afford to have Cole Strange being the guy you hide this year. He's going to have to hold his own because whether it's at right guard or right tackle, whatever they end up doing with Mike Onwenu, that's where you're allocating those extra resources. You're not allocating him on the left side. You hope he's kind of naturally hit a bit between Trent Brown and David Andrews, but he got benched last year when they couldn't hide him.
Yeah.
And if that happens again this year, that's a major
Quinton
problem.
Williams took his lunch money.
Can I ask you guys just a quick question? What was your reaction when the game started out, first offensive play with a Trent Brown 2 seconds ahead of the snap like we saw frequently last year?
So he tries to do this all the time where he tries to jump the snap count as the team that's snapping the ball. Like obviously pass rushers try to time up the snap count all the time. What is he trying to time up the snap?
No, that's the thing now. Trent Williams does this all the time. He just never gets called for it.
Yeah.
You watch Trent
Trent
Williams.
did it so much last year too. Brown did it.
Trent Brown leaves early all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just
a lot of the top tackles in the league.
Tyron Smith used to do it, but he was good at it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There's difference between doing it and being good at it. But I
don't
think
know.
he's,
Obviously, like those guys are great players, but like with Trent's size, like I just don't
So
really
obvious.
see why you need to get a head start. Like you have unbelievable like length in terms of your kick slide to be able to get out of your stance because
Move your feet.
your stride is like 10 times longer than anybody else's. So like I don't really see what the big advantage is of him trying to get out early. I don't know.
No.
Evan, you brought up Brock Purdy.
Purdy.
Tony from Canada wants to know if there's any potential for trading for Trey Lance.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit on Catch 22. I was a big Trey Lance guy in the draft, and my big overall Trey Lance take is I think the 49ers did him dirty. I think the 49ers never really gave him a fair shake or a fair opportunity to develop. He was a guy that was 110% a project. He had played one season at the FCS level. He was a really good year, but then he barely played in 2020. It was a one-game season for them with the COVID year. And then he comes in and basically is behind Jimmy G from the jump after they invested all this draft capital. At this point, I think that if you're trading for him, it's a 2024 investment because you're not going to. He needs to develop. He needs reps and he needs time in the system. And you're not talking about him starting for any team this year. But if you feel like he's worth it in terms of developmental track, then maybe after spring and training camp next year, like he could actually make a push up your depth chart, then I could entertain the trade. But I've never seen a team draft a player that high, invest that much
trade up to draft a player
that much draft capital in a guy, and then bury him on the depth chart. It was a bizarre handling of it.
Kyle Shanahan, sneaky bad at quarterback.
Rosen got more play than he did.
Yeah. I mean, like the Panthers, I think, had one training camp practice before they named Bryce Young the starter. Anthony Richardson, who's just as much of a project as Trey Lance was, is already the starter in Indy.
Is that a mistake for the Colts?
I just don't think they have it in their options.
Yeah, really? Yeah.
At least the Niners
well, they have Minshew, right?
Yeah, but the Niners had Jimmy, so like that was a legitimate option.
Yeah.
But
And now I see like a bunch of, when that was announced, I saw a bunch of tweets that were like, I bet you the 49ers are wishing they picked Mac Jones.
Well, that was.
I mean,
talk
probably.
was they could.
Yeah.
They were a little interested in him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and I wonder if this is what went into Lance being a bust. There's a report at the time that Shanahan wanted Mac and Lynch wanted Trey Lance. So Shanahan was, he didn't get the guy he wanted.
If that's the case, though, then how do you trade up for it? Like, how do you?
Oh, no, it was.
How do you give up 2 future first-round picks
Evan,
for a guy that the organization is divided on?
You know how much I hate that trade. You know how much I hate that trade. And the Niners have a top 3 roster in football, and in theory, they gave up the equivalent of Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb, and Jalen Waddle. They could have the same roster they do now, minus Trey Lance. You could add Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb, and Jalen Waddle to that thing. Because they have pulled off, I think, sort of what the Patriots are trying to pull off. Instead of keep spinning the wheel at quarterback and get stuck in the roulette for 20 years, just load up at every other position and find a quarterback that's a net neutral. That isn't necessarily great, but just isn't bad.
Not going to lose you games.
Right, and they had that.
If that was their strategy, though, then like Trey Lance is the
They
opposite
blew it,
of
but that's
that.
what I'm saying. They blew it. They were there. They were right there, and then they blew it because I think Kyle Shanahan's kind of overrated.
So
but
are the Niners in the Super Bowl last year if Mac Jones is their quarterback?
Yes. Assuming he's healthy, yes.
I struggle to make that leap, but
That's an interesting take, Barth.
I think they have the pieces to make Mac Jones look good in the same way that he was at Alabama, in the sense that they were willing to go out and get Christian McCaffrey and keep Samuel. Like, they were willing to do what it takes to make their quarterback successful. Not the case everywhere.
For better or worse,
Not the case everywhere.
guys like Kyle Shanahan, I think Josh McDaniels is a little bit like this too. I don't know about Bill O'Brien yet, but they want their quarterbacks playing Madden. Like, if I tell you to throw to this guy, you throw to that guy. Don't throw to the other guy. Like, the system tells you to throw to this guy. Like, the read tells you to throw to that guy. And they just want a guy that's just going to hit the button on the controller.
Paint by number.
And that they feel like their system
Would you
is
say
so
Shanahan treats offenses like Belichick treats defenses?
Oh, yeah.
good. Just in terms of, like, the roles and
The
stuff.
roles. Like,
Do your 1/11th.
Right.
Data,
Right.
and that's why the Trey Lance pick made no sense, is because he's a guy that's a playmaker. Like, he's somebody that's supposed to elevate your offense instead of the other way around, wherein all Shanahan wants is a numbers pusher.
They never needed to make that trade. They blew up the plan. They never ever needed to do that.
They were so close to Barth's, like, this is my take on how the Patriots should do this, and then they blew it
Well,
up.
I think that's what the Patriots were going to do, and they did it.
you had it.
Well,
in the palm
then
of
you
their
have
hand.
to have George Kittle and Deebo Samuel. And
But I'm saying I honestly believe this. I think it is easier to acquire the combination of skill talent the Niners have than it is to acquire a Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow-esque quarterback.
Because you don't you fall into those guys.
Right.
You don't acquire them. They're not available. You have to be lucky or be bad and get them in the draft.
I think it's easier to amass the talent around the quarterback than it is to add the quarterback. So
Yeah.
why waste time just going through this quarterback roulette, being the Bears, being what the Bills were for years, being what the Browns were for years, when you could just, all right, we're going to go get all this other talent and we'll just find a quarterback that makes it work.
But do you think it's still hard to find that quarterback? Like, I still
Yes.
you know what I mean? It's like I totally get what you're saying, and but it's like, I don't want to say like Brock Purdy's don't just grow on trees.
Well, I would say this,
but,
Mike. It's To get which quarterback? The net neutral quarterback?
Yeah,
or the,
well, even the net neutral quarterback, I feel like, and that's not an easy
think
thing
you have
in and of
to- I
itself.
think you
I would say this in terms of how hard it is to find the elite quarterback. That 2021 quarterback class was generational. Trevor Lawrence panned out. That was the first overall pick. One guy's been benched, might get traded. The other guy's been benched. Bench again is about to get traded. And two of the other four guys, including the guy that was called the safe bet, are currently on the hot seat. So if that's a generational quarterback class, yeah, I'll go find Brock Purdy. I'll go find Aiden O'Connell. I'll go find that guy. Because if I'm going to have to draft essentially, one way or the other, you should be drafting quarterback every year, every other year.
I totally
It's
agree with
basically,
that.
do you want to be doing that in the first round or do you want to be doing it in the fourth round? Because you can use those first-round picks to build up the rest of your roster, and then when you finally hit on the guy in the fourth round, which I think the hit rate's probably kind of similar. Well, look at this. Yeah, you hit on a guy in the fourth round, and now look what he's stepping into. There's all these first-round picks around him at all these different positions.
And if you don't, he's always an asset.
Right.
Yeah.
You can always,
Yeah, exactly.
All right. 855-PATS-500 is the Ace Ticket hotline. Let's go to Nate in Texas. What's up, Nate?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Sweet. Hey, first time, long time. Love y'all's podcast. Deuce, you're talking about orange juice with alcohol, a tequila sunrise.
Oh, no, apple
little
juice.
tequila,
Oh,
some
I know.
orange juice, and
Dude,
some
I know
lemon
orange juice. Don't worry. I was saying apple juice, though. I don't know a lot of drinks
Oh,
like
you were
apple
saying
juice.
apple juice.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
right, you're
Don't
right.
worry. I already got orange juice all day.
You're like, I got it done. Okay.
Oh.
Well, my
Screwdriver,
question
you know.
was,
come
you know, we were talking about the offensive line, you know, and I remember, I think I was listening to this podcast, and they were talking about slants. You know, they threw a lot of slants in the last preseason game. Do you think that's because of the offensive line? You know, they want to get the ball out quick. I know you guys are there for the preseason games, and then they're at training camp. Have you guys seen a lot of that? You know, you think that Bill O'Brien maybe doesn't trust the offense as much, or the offensive line as much, and that's why they're doing that?
Getting rid of the ball quick has always been part of the Patriots
Yeah,
offense.
no, I think that's just Bill O'Brien's
Yeah,
offense.
right.
Yeah, I think, you know, we were talking about this too. A good thing about what I thought that they did on Saturday night and what the plan seems to be is that the deep shots in this offense are going to be calculated. Like, it's not going to be last year they put Mac in the gun, they were running vertical routes all over the place, and they were playing chuck it and duck it. And I think this year it's going to get back to you know, timely deep shots or just kind of picking your spots, whether it's off of under center play action or like the occasional seam pass to a tight end or something like that. That's going to be your vertical element. Otherwise, it's back to death by 1,000 paper cuts. And I think that's what's best for the quarterback as well. So
They had a nice play against Green Bay where it was like a inside handoff, very close to the line to Stevenson, where play action, where he kind of shoulders down, you know, really hid the fact that he didn't have the ball, and then Mac threw down the middle. I forget to who it was, but it was a nice,
Was it
like
the Hunter Henry
15,
one?
16-yard pickup.
Yeah.
You know, boom, boom,
Yeah.
real quick. You
yeah,
know?
that's
You know, that was another.
Go ahead.
That was another question I had. You know, do you think Ramondre's going to be more in the passing game?
I think he's going to be heavily involved no matter what he does. I mean, it's just a question of how many snaps do they feel comfortable getting him out there. But, I mean, between him and Hunter Henry, I'd say a large majority of the plays go to Ramondre
tell me
Stevenson.
who else is doing well, and then I'll tell you how much of a
KB.
load that Ramondre Stevenson
KB,
has.
he deserves some
Catch
love.
22 is on the KB train.
Yeah.
Yep.
Feed-
Rightly so.
Feed
Thanks,
KB.
Nate.
He's been great. I mean, he kept it up yesterday. I mean, he
Yeah.
just keeps showing up, and he looks fast, and, you know,
Yeah.
Yep.
it's good for him.
Jack in Ann Arbor writes, now that training camp's nearly over, how would you rate the Patriots' last 3 drafts, both relative to each other and in absolute terms? I suggest 2023 is the best of the 3, then 21, then 22. 2023, excellent, 3 potential starters in year 1,
I
9
have not
players.
played a game yet.
9 players make the team. 2021, very good, starting quarterback, contributing defensive tackle, starting running back, and 21, good, starting guard, 2 cornerbacks, wide receiver, and a backup quarterback.
2022 good.
Good.
2021, good.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't do it right.
2022 fail.
Yeah.
F.
Right now, it sure looks that way.
Cole Strange, meh. Tyquan Thornton, trending towards bust. Marcus Jones, good utility DB, return guy, cool. Jack Jones, we all know the story there. Bailey Zappi, backup quarterback. The 2 running backs, are they on this team if they're not 4th-round picks? if one's not a 4th round pick, and then Kevin Harris, like we both did roster projections, we don't have Kevin Harris on the team.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So, it's way too early to call.
You do like Jason Hines. You have said he's been good this summer.
I like Jason Hines. There you go. You got
Jim.
one.
But you're right, Evan. You're totally right. I mean, and nobody wants to say like this is past judgment, and maybe Thornton turns it around, maybe Strange turns it around. You really hope they kind of need to, but I don't know how anybody looks at that draft class right now and feels great about it.
Strange is going to be serviceable.
Yeah,
I would say the 2020 class is better than the 2022 class.
Oh yeah,
Duggar,
absolutely.
And none of them are as bad. Like 21,
and Onwenu was in that class too. That's a great class.
22 is not in like the 17, 18, 19 range.
Oh, it's trending that way.
It's not that bad.
Oh yeah, it is.
Marcus Jones alone puts it ahead of those.
Marcus Jones is going to be a returner. Like you're talking about.
I say again, Marcus Jones alone puts it ahead of those classes.
Just because he's a good punt returner.
Evan, what have their biggest needs been the last 3 off seasons?
They
tackle, cornerback, receiver. What did they miss on repeatedly from 2017 to 2019?
I hear you, but last year was such a big draft for the team. It really was. And I think Cole Strange is going to be a serviceable starting guard in the league, like an average NFL starting guard. That was your 1st round pick. Like that's not good enough. Like average with your 1st round pick, not good enough. Tyquan Thornton, I don't know if he's going to be on the team in 2024. Like that is trending towards a big bust of a pick. I'm trying to, other than Cole Strange, who will have his role and play his spot on the offensive line. Like, are we sure that Marcus Jones is going to play defense? Like I am not.
I think he's going to get a chance to. I mean, I think he'll get a chance in the slot. I think you're
specific
right.
roles on defense against specific teams. I think you're going to need his speed out there just to keep up with guys and make sure there's not a lot of yards after catch.
Yeah, but I think to Evan's point, it might be like you're the 4th matchup corner. You're not even like the top slot. You're all right, hey.
I think he could be the top slot corner.
But
it's possible.
And that was a good pick. Like Marcus Jones in the 3rd round was a good pick.
Yeah.
But I come back to with Tyquan and Strange, you also have to factor in who they didn't pick in those spots.
Right.
And the guys that they passed up in the first 2 rounds where they could have had.
I wanted a speed linebacker.
Yeah, they could have had Quay Walker.
Quay
we
Walker,
just saw last
guy,
week in Green Bay.
Literally, there were so many people that I was like, it's happening, and then it didn't happen.
Yeah,
like,
Devin Lloyd. They could have had, Christian Watson, who we just saw in Green Bay.
He was one of my guys.
And I know everybody laments about George Pickens, but it's not just George Pickens. Like, they could have had a bunch of receivers in the 2nd round that have had better years
honestly,
than Tyquan.
Pickens would have been
the guy
wild.
that gets me, and look, you can only go with the information you had at the time. If you're going to trade up to 50 for Tyquan Thornton, could you trade it up to 46 for John Mechie? Because he would have been such a good fit here. You didn't. Yeah, it obviously cancer diagnosis came later. You didn't know that at the time. That's my second guess on that one.
I just think, we've talked a lot about this. This has been what I've been hammering. Why they are where they are is because they missed on those drafts, like Alex pointed out.
Yeah.
Like those drafts, and I just think, depending if this season were to not go great, I think you'd really look at that 2022 draft and say, this was the icing on the cake of missing on a bunch of drafts. You kind of had a couple where you had some positive pieces in 2020 and 2021, and then you took a big step back in 2022. And, that could be a big problem if those guys don't emerge.
2022 as a whole was a big step back for that draft class, for not having an offensive coordinator. Like, just the whole thing was bad.
Yeah,
and
I think
it was a whole.
Just throw it all away.
It was kind of a wasted season.
It was.
Yeah.
Like, you set your team back. You set Mac back. Like, who knows? Tyquan could have been better right now if he had a real offensive coordinator.
I just feel like the wide receiver position in particular, and you see it across the league every year with these rookies, you know right away when they step on the field, like, is this guy for real or is he not? Like, if you just
Gonzalez White, yes.
Yeah, right. Like, and it just, at that position in particular, there's so much wide receiver talent coming into the league every single year. And all of those camps that you hear about, like, I know he got hurt, but like Jackson Smith and Jigba was looking great. Look at Zay Flowers in Baltimore right now. Like, all these guys just instantly just coming in and being good.
We just need to get Mac Rowe in a room with a blindfold, truth serum. Who's really making these picks?
That's what I want to know, because they could have gotten Zay if they wanted Zay. Like,
no, Zay Flowers.
Yeah, I won't get on them for taking Christian Gonzalez over Zay, but I do, like, I'm not ready to take the victory lap on Zay yet, because I don't do that in the preseason. But if he's trending in this direction once we get into the regular season too, because there's a lot of people that called into this show. He went to Boston College. He's only 5'9", and like all these people saying like all the things that were wrong with him. The guy moves differently than everybody else.
I knew, well, I suspect he will be good just because he was from Boston College and he was getting that much national attention.
Yeah.
Name the receiver from BC that got that much attention.
We heard it all. Down year for receivers. He's too small.
No.
Bad level competition.
You knew he had to be good to get that type of attention from BC.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that bugs me a little bit is like, and this is not a slight on Demario Douglas or on Keyshawn Boutte at all, but it's like, if those guys that went in the 6th round are popping like this, like what would Zay Flowers look like popping? Because he's better than Pop Douglas is. He's going to pop. So it's like that, and that's like the frustration.
We'd be calling him Pop Flowers.
Why can't we just get one of these guys in the early round that, like it's not like, oh my God, a 6th-round pick. It's like it's expected.
You're preaching to the
I think
choir.
that's kind of what they want Keyshawn Boutte to be, because he does flash real first-round talent, and he did at LSU.
He's got burst, man.
Yeah.
But they have so Douglas is that's the brand that they should be looking into, right? Quickness, route running ability, speed. Like that's what works in this offense. Just take Pop Douglas in the top 50. So you get designer brand Pop Douglas instead of.
Wait, but I said that.
I don't understand it. Like,
I said
it's
that the whole offseason. I said I really hope they don't get like generic Walmart brand players.
Yeah.
Can you just get me like the Target, the like, just designer brand player?
Yeah.
Like I don't want
It
the
just
what
makes
the
no
Equate
sense.
brand. I don't want the Equate brand. I want the real.
So
thing.
then they draft Tyquan or like N'Keal Harry, and you're like, well, that's not it. Like that's not what we want. And then they draft Pop Douglas in the 6th round, and we're talking about him as a real contributor. It's like if you had just drafted Pop Douglas in the 2nd round, then that guy would be making the Pro Bowl right now.
Right.
Like I don't understand.
Right.
Like even like Cole Strange. Like no offense, that was like the Equate version of what we needed for that position. Why couldn't you get me like the real?
You could have had him later too.
Like
even if you love Cole Strange.
to me,
You could have had Christian Watson, who is that higher, more advanced Tyquan Thornton.
It's like if I have to Google your school, if I'm like, what is that? Like if I have to Google, like we're done. Except for Judon, he's a diamond in the rough. Like I've never heard of his school before.
Grand Valley State.
Yes, until now. But you're not always gonna find that.
What about Lenore Ryan for Duggar?
I know.
Yeah.
Those might be my
So
two exceptions.
Duggar though, like people knew Duggar. Like Duggar was a big.
He
combine
was
guy.
projected in the 2nd round.
Cole Strange in the 1st round was like
A
up there
stretch.
with Jordan Richards in the 2nd round. Like that was like right up there with some of the bigger reaches that they've ever had.
I remember there was like a 4 or 5 year stretch. This was like the Jordan Richards, Tavon Wilson years where you watch the draft on ESPN and they have the highlight package ready, and it's always who's going to be the first player drafted that they don't have the highlight package ready for. And like 4 or 5 years in a row, it's a Patriots draft.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Always a safety.
I just feel bad because I'm like, I really hope the scouting department is not doing all this work just for like none of it to get used.
Right.
Well, it's hard to know what to think, but I think like just going back to your point, Tamara, about last year and just everything of last year, and I just think as we wrap up this preseason and all the changes that have happened this year, like that's what's kind of hanging over this team for me is, did they get over last year? Are the guys that didn't really know what they were doing, weren't able to produce in the offensive system they installed, are they able to get away from that? And I felt early in camp there was kind of a shadow of last season still kind of hang. I don't feel that as much right now. It feels like they're kind of developing their own identity, but I still feel a little bit like, all right, you gotta show it to me. You gotta show me, and that's why when Trent Brown false started, like I'm just like that's a flavor of last year, and I don't like it.
Right.
And the same way,
Don't like
Get that out of our mouth.
the same way it's like, all right, first drive, you get the ball on a botch snap. You know, you get the, like those just all felt like they're
pass
handing you the
interference.
lead. And
Yeah.
So, but
pass interference in
we
the
always
end zone.
joke with Paul that he has his pick 3s.
Yeah.
That was a pick
That
7.
was-
They did score. So maybe that
Right. Progress.
There's a little bit of progress
But
there. Yes.
but without that pass interference in the end zone, it would have been a pick 3.
yeah, but he got held. So there you
he
go.
did get
It
help.
was a good route combination that led to it.
Yeah.
Bill O'Brien.
Pick 3.
Matt writes in, after listening to Felger and Maz yesterday, Mike brought up a good argument. After Trey Lance was demoted to 3rd string, would you trade a mid-round pick and or Zappy for Lance? I feel taking a chance is a good idea if he's available. The upside is huge with little risk. If fans are so excited by a small showing from Cunningham, I can't imagine everyone wouldn't love Trey Lance.
So Trey Lance's film so far in the NFL, I should point out, is horrible.
Dreadful.
Yeah, like he was terrible in the games that he did actually play. The thing about trading Zappy for him is that Zappy's the perfect backup quarterback. He plays a similar brand of football as Mac. You know what you're going to get in him. And Trey Lance is the total opposite of that. He's a volatile, not system fit backup quarterback. So
Yeah.
like who's the like I'm all if you're gonna draft another Bailey Zappi next year and that's gonna kind of be your backup and Lance gonna be your wild card, then that's fine. But you can't trade Zappi now for Trey Lance, because if Mac goes down, then you're reinventing the wheel in October, and that I think is going to be dicey.
It's a weird spot for
Like,
Lance.
do you think they just
Hasn't
haven't
played.
given Lance like the time and like effort
Yes.
to make him great? Because I mean, like, say if that injury didn't happen to him last year, I'm like, he would have had the whole season to kind of like
there's
get
no
all
doubt.
the jitters
Not
out.
saying that if they gave it to him, he'd still do well. You don't know, but they haven't given him the time.
I don't
No.
think Shanahan ever wanted to give him the chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something. This is a good one. It's about Hard Knocks, so I'll read it. It's a
Alex, do you watch Hard Knocks?
Wait.
I'm not a big Hard Knocks guy.
So
Yeah, only Fred is watching, but we keep
Fred,
talking.
wait, no, Fred,
It makes me sad about the loss of Last Chance U. That was the behind-the-scenes football show.
Last Chance U is
Literally, Veronica's dad messaged her and was like, the reviews of Hard Knocks have not been good. He is a phony. And then I responded and I was like, Fred and him are on the same page. Same page.
Aaron Rodgers has apparently never missed a throw in training camp. So much of each episode consists of slow-motion clips of Rodgers making perfect throws. I would predict that the Jets will have a perfect offense this year, except Robert Saleh hates the offense. Every episode, he gushes about them on the sidelines and then trashes them in every meeting. He's constantly saying that last year was their fault and that if the team struggles this year, it's 100% on them. The defensive coordinator is the definition of a meathead. He's the type of guy who takes his shirt off at inappropriate times and is always trying to work how much he can bench press into every conversation. Through 3 episodes, I haven't heard him say anything regarding defensive style, game planning, or philosophy. It's just a bunch of catchphrases he read on a jar of creatine. Well, I don't expect him to be giving away.
I don't know about that, but
Yeah.
but it was it not the Jets' offense fault that they were bad last year? Like
No, it was the wind. Remember?
I'm just being like, I understand that maybe like Robert Saleh is coming off as sour grapes because the defense is his side of the ball, but like they're a playoff team with a respectable offense last year. So I mean, he's right. Like they are the problem.
Every player is contractually obligated to kiss up to Rodgers no less than 5 times a day. This also apparently applies to the coaching staff. Zach Wilson and Randall Cobb seem like decent guys, and I feel sorry for them that they have to play for the Jets. And finally,
Zach Wilson's. I don't like. I had this email. I'm just disagreeing.
Yeah.
With a lot of these
finally, my
boys.
uneducated opinion is that despite all the offseason signings and despite nailing the last few drafts, the Jets are still and always will be the Jets. I'm predicting 7-10 with Wilson starting by the end of the season because Rodgers is in a cave somewhere chewing mushrooms.
Yikes. I don't know, man. It's hard to know what to expect, but I got to say, I watched a lot of Jets-Patriots games over the years, and this is the most talented Jets team I've seen. I had a lot of respect last year for the players that they have drafted. Why are the Patriots in this position? Granted, they didn't have the high draft capital that the Jets did, where they were able to take some of these guys that have turned into studs, but they've hit on them. They've hit on these players at important positions.
They're loaded.
They've got some questions, but they've got talent too. So I don't know how it's all going to play out. That's what's exciting about it.
Spee in Fresno has issues with Barth. He says,
shocker.
Oh, no, this is your new. He hates your neutral quarterback.
Oh,
take.
yeah, right.
He says Barth's net neutral quarterback take drives me bonkers.
Yeah.
It's rooted in outliers and things that haven't happened. Months back, Evan made the good point that with Mac, it's probably the only route the Patriots have, but that doesn't mean it's truly a functional path to Titletown. Can a net neutral quarterback possibly win it with everything schemed up in a full talent pool? Sure, that could happen, but it's extremely rare and highly unlikely, and Alex never adequately acknowledges that. He claims it's easier to build around the net neutral quarterback than to get your hands on Mahomes, Stafford, Manning, Brady, Wilson.
Stafford.
Stafford.
Yeah, he has.
Oh,
Stafford
that's
in
right.
there.
He hates this take because he claims that Matthew Stafford's an elite
Or
quarterback.
Wentz, who was a
Stafford was
superstar the year the Eagles won. I don't even know
Okay.
if Alex is correct about that. It's an empirical question. Regardless, Barth, the Niners lost. There is not a league-wide
that
trend
does really
towards
hurt
Super Bowl
his
success with
argument.
net neutral quarterbacks. Outliers like Nick Foles are not trends.
So Nick.
But Tom Brady is not an outlier, by the way. He's part of the trend.
So Nick Foles
6-round picks
is an
7
outlier,
Super Bowls.
but Carson Wentz isn't. But that was safety. Also, Carson Wentz is good now, and Rams Matthew Stafford. Here's where he's missing it. I acknowledge it is very difficult to win a Super Bowl with the net neutral quarterback and assembling all the other talent because it is very difficult to win a Super Bowl. I'm not saying if you just blindly just do that, you're automatically going to win a Super Bowl. Both are very difficult. We're talking about like again, so I think the net neutral quarterback plan is like more likely. Say that gives you like a 0.6% chance of winning a Super Bowl, where you have like a 0.5% chance of finding that elite quarterback.
But here's the thing, and I agree with you, but when you base it on the net neutral model and you're building up around him, it's harder to keep that team together. If you've got Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, you've got that piece. And guys can filter in and out, but as long as you've got that piece, you'll always be in contention.
Except, so it's easier to like recruit players if you have that star quarterback, but if
and make up for deficiencies if you've got that player.
But the idea of this plan is you cover all the deficiencies because you have the money to do it, because this is what
you're never paying the quarterback.
You're never right. You don't have that $60 million a year quarterback, so you have more money to distribute. That's why the Niners have the roster they have, and they've been able to pay a lot of the guys they've paid.
Because they had a bunch of top 10 picks. But
no, but a lot of those guys have been paid now.
Yeah, I know, but like the Patriots didn't have a chance to get Nick Bosa because they're the number 2 overall.
But that's different. That's acquiring those players. That's different. I'm saying that that's a whole part of this is you don't have that albatross quarterback contract. Look at what's going on with the Chiefs, right?
But that's not killing the Chiefs. They're in it every year.
You're right. It's not. Well, it's not until it also Mahomes is Mahomes. And if your plan is to just draft Patrick Mahomes, good luck.
Yeah, but
good luck making that work in a 5-year window.
The point I'm trying to make is if you've got one of those top 6 elite quarterbacks in this league, you're always going to be in contention.
You're always going to be in contention.
Whereas in the other model, it can fall apart more easily.
It can, but if your starting quarterback gets hurt and your whole roster is predicated on the idea the quarterback's good, then there you go.
No, then you're done.
Right, then you're absolutely cooked. Whereas if you're the Niners, you can get down to your third string quarterback and still make the NFC Championship.
See, I don't know if you're going to admit to this, but I feel like this is rooted in the fact that the Patriots have Mac Jones as their quarterback, and really the only way the Patriots are going to win a Super Bowl is if the roster is stacked. And so that's how we get.
I'm saying Alex is biased.
I'm saying that.
You 98.5 thesportshub.com. I first wrote this take, whatever it was, a week or two after Brady left, March 2020. Mac Jones was a backup at Alabama when I wrote this take. Okay. So this has, yes, Mac Jones happens to play into it. Absolutely, I'll admit that. Yeah. I would like Mac Jones to succeed because I would like to see my take.
He's the guy that would prove it right.
He is a guy who could prove it right.
If the Patriots would load up.
If they weren't a net neutral offense as
an
entirety.
Well, yeah, you need a big if.
But
that's not a Mac Jones thing.
Spee said in the email that I made the point that that's probably the Patriots' path. Right now, because Mac is their quarterback and they're not going to get somebody better overnight. So that's their path right now, and I still believe that. My whole pushback has always been how they've spread out the other resources. Like they have decided to pay, to Tamara's thing, they've decided to pay a bunch of Walmart people and then instead of spending the money all in one spot, they've spread it around the entire roster. And Bill believes in that philosophy. He wants to have a strong middle class and 1 through 53 and all that kind of stuff. And my mind nowadays, even more so, but even back in the dynasty years, it was Brady, it was Gronkowski, it was Edelman, it was Hightower. Like those were the guys that were carrying you. But he thinks otherwise.
All right, Bridgestone is the official tire of the New England Patriots and proud partner with Sullivan Tire, New England's headquarters for quality Bridgestone tires. Visit sullivantire.com to find a location near you. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm out of here. I don't know if Evan's going to go with me, but we got to get on the bus. So Tamara, Alex, and Deuce will take you through the rest of the show. Pre-game show, right?
Pre-game show.
You can do all that.
Yeah.
Just because I'm leaving, that doesn't mean I have to wrap up the show.
T-shirt, T-shirt contest coming up.
Show within the show coming up.
Get in on the action with DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the New England Patriots. New customers can download the DraftKings app now and play free for millions in prizes using code PATS. That's code PATS only at DraftKings. Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
All right, we're back. Quick lunch break. Matisse Bauman here with Dylan Citarella, and Alex Francisco is joining us today.
Hello.
You guys wanted to get rid of us, but you can't get rid of us that easily. We're here for the second segment of the lunch break for Patriots Unfiltered, and first we are going to start with a new little gig here. We are going to do some quick Patriots trivia. So I'm going to ask 3 questions, and if you get the answer emailed into webradio@patriots.com before the end of the segment, the first person who gets the answer correctly will get the ever so wanted Patriots Unfiltered t-shirt.
Did you guys see that people are like knocking these off? Because I posted a picture wearing the shirt once, or of Marcus Jones's parents with the shirts, and someone dropped a link underneath in the comments of a link that you could buy the shirts, but they're not our shirts. They're knocks off. These are dupes. You cannot buy these. I just want you all to know.
This will be an official Patriots Unfiltered t-shirt.
And whoever comment that, stay tuned for your cease and desist.
There we go. There we go. All right, so first question here. What player did Rob Gronkowski, quote, throw out of the club during Sunday Night Football matchup against the Colts in 2014?
Obviously, that's my question.
That is Alex's question right there. All right, so that's the first one. Second question. How long was Adam Vinatieri's field goal in the Snow Bowl in 2001? We need the exact yardage here. All right? And the third question. What jersey number did Deion Branch wear in his second stint with the Patriots? All right? So those are 3 questions. First person to get the answer correct to webradio@patriots.com before the end of this quick break will get the answer read correctly by Fred on air, and you should get a t-shirt. But back to what we're here to talk about. So last week we talked about hot takes.
I heard it was super well received.
Yeah, and that's why it's a hot take. But as I said on the last show, we're going to talk about whatever the hell we want to. And so today, well, pretty much Madden 24 dropped the other day. I'm pretty sure the other week.
Yep.
And I was thinking back to the old days in Madden where, a team, you could move your team to a different city. Start a franchise, move a team where the hell you want. And I was thinking, what would be the next NFL expansion franchise team, and what city would it be in? So, Dylan.
We're starting U.S. cities?
We're going to start with U.S. We'll get to
right.
international. We'll start with U.S.
Okay.
Dylan. What are your wants for a future NFL team?
I think obviously it has to be somewhere in a big market where fans will be drawn to. Not only like fans in the immediate area, but where people will want to travel to. That's like a big thing. So one of the places that I thought specifically for that reason, because there's just a mass population of people, is Austin, Texas.
Okay, so you want 3 Texas teams?
I know it is. It's kind of Texas is huge.
All right.
Austin's far enough away from Dallas and Houston where I think it'll draw its own crowd. And the want for football is obviously there with University of Texas.
Okay.
That stadium is huge. They could even host some games like there if they wanted to. But the want for football is obviously there. Everyone loves football in Texas. That's been proven time and time again.
So you're Austin over San Antonio.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd probably say I think they're both good options, but I think Austin has there's more in Austin. It's like the capital. People want to travel there.
Like that, Alex.
But in that sense, do you get the LA dynamic where there's already so much going on that no one really cares about the sports, especially with the Longhorns there?
Yeah.
You think that'll ever happen in Texas where people won't care about football, especially high school football is obviously huge there.
Definitely not. But just comparatively to San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
Those people have the Riverwalk, the Spurs. Like, what else is going on there?
I just think 3 teams in Texas is too many. I don't know. Alex, you go first. I'll tell you my city.
My city's San Diego.
Thank
I
you.
visited
I agree.
San Diego within months of the Chargers leaving, and I went to Petco Park. I went into this little sports shop. The man that owned this place was devastated that they took the Chargers from him, and it's such a shame. It's such an awesome city. It's so much fun, and they've just been robbed of all their sports teams. Fortunately, the Padres are back at a level where they're relevant right now, but I don't think they deserve to have their team taken away. It gets no love in LA. San Diego needs a football team.
That was going to be my team as well. I hate that the NFL just force-fed us 2 LA teams. The stadium's always empty. It's the San Diego Superchargers. Like, they should have, the taxpayers, I mean, it's obviously not my money, but, just pay up, build the new stadium. What was it, Qualcomm Stadium they had? That was a dump. But
so you guys are cool with 3 teams in
No. I'm saying move the Chargers back from LA to San Diego.
So that's not an expansion team.
Yeah. See,
well, you're re-expanding.
Yeah,
the city.
Yeah. I like that.
Expansion city, not team.
There we go.
We're righting wrongs.
What about staying in Cali? What about going to Sacramento, up to the Bay, bringing football back to the Bay since Oakland they're no longer.
And that's if we keep the 2 LA teams, a new team. I don't know. I would like a dream scenario. You got LA, San Diego, Sacramento.
How it used to be?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All right, I like that, Alex. We're on the same wavelength here. For my U.S. team, I was leaning Salt Lake City, but I think Portland. Portland would be interesting.
I had both of those like as a thought, but I agree with you that I think Portland would be better than Salt Lake City. They both have like kind of a similar population, but
I just don't know if Salt Lake City could keep it up the whole time. I don't know. I don't know if they could keep up the energy.
Maybe, but it's a really cool place.
it is.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
I think you could get a really
Whereas
cool stadium.
Portland, I mean, this is generally speaking, but when I think of Portland, I just think of Portlandia. And, like, are there football fans there?
Yeah.
I know the Supersonics were, like, the best thing ever, but that's Seattle.
That's Seattle.
And it's like, I just lump that whole Pacific Northwest region into the same place. Where
Yeah,
it's like,
I kind of
do
do the
they
same
care
thing.
about football or like
Portland, going back to college football, Portland is like, I think the Ducks and the Oregon State Beavers both place kind of close to there. So it's like, people are sort of into the football, but yeah, I don't know. I kind of agree with you where I feel like it all just kind of like the Pacific Northwest all kind of just lumps together.
I'll do one more for you.
Okay.
So I like Salt Lake though because I mean.
Selfishly, I like Salt Lake because Salt Lake City's awesome.
It's a beautiful
Utah
place.
is easily a top 3 most beautiful state in the country.
You could have a crazy stadium there.
And the Jazz are becoming more and more relevant. I know they're they're like one of, I think they have Real Salt Lake soccer team.
Yeah.
So those are their only 2 professional sports teams. So like
yeah, that's a good point. All right, I got one more before we go international.
Okay.
This could be hot. Hartford.
You got to give him the Whalers before you give him the
Nah,
NFL.
I'm just saying. No, I always wondered.
And then
like,
you want to take away from our
you're taking
brand?
away from New
That's
England.
our market share.
Listen, I don't want to take away. I love the Patriots, so I die. I'm just saying, would it be interesting to have, you got 2 New York teams, 2 Texas teams. Interesting to have 2 New England teams. Like, how many people would gravitate to that? Would it be a big thing? I don't know.
You think it would be a divide, or would it be like more people who are
People in
Giants?
Connecticut already have that identity crisis.
Yeah,
of,
they have
like,
Giants,
New
Jets.
York
So let's give them another.
Mass.
Let's give them another.
Just what they need. What about? I mean, I know you were trying to move on to.
No, what you
international,
got?
but
What you got?
I was like, since you're saying 2 teams in the New England area, what about another team in Chicago?
That'd be awesome.
I know the Bears Stadium's super old, so maybe they'd have to rebuild that one first.
There's rumors
or
about
they
them
could
getting
use
a new
2,
stadium.
but yeah, there's 2 teams, like you said, 2 teams in LA. There's 2 teams in New York. Chicago's big enough.
I just think though the Bears just run that whole market.
Yeah, it would be kind of hard to.
I have an obscure one.
All right.
Butt into the Bears.
I know that it's like important, like, oh, we need to have a big market. What if that's not the case? What if you go somewhere where there's really not that much going on and then
Are you gonna say Omaha?
Not Omaha, but that's not a bad idea. Not quite Nebraska, but if you go a little west of that, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. People are loaded out there, so you know they have money to spend. What else is going on in Wyoming other than Jackson Hole? And selfishly, I want
you want
to make that trip.
Alex just wants to travel.
Yeah.
I'm like, what cities do I love and want to go to? Salt Lake City.
Yeah, I'm curious how many people in
Jackson Hole.
Jackson Hole or in Wyoming in general actually care about football.
Interesting. All right. Well, I got the word. It's time to wrap up. So I guess, if we keep this conversation going, because this show's not going anywhere, we might bring international next week. All right. So this is the cue. If you have the answer to the 3 trivia questions earlier,
and you haven't sent them in
yet, you're probably screwed, but you could give it a go if people didn't send them in yet. Fred will announce the winners on air. Thank you guys for joining me on this second episode. Let's get back to Patriots Unfiltered.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like my plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get my plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get my plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
And now, great moments in history.
Manny's in Manchester, New Hampshire. What's up, Manny?
Manchester.
I was listening to yesterday's podcast. At one point in time, Paul called Bill a mediocre coach.
Oh, no, I did not.
Good coach.
Stop it.
Yes, you did.
Stop it. You're embarrassing yourself.
I just listened to it today. But anyway.
I did not call Bill a mediocre coach. I'm sorry. It was taken out of context. That's like Fred said that he doesn't think that Mac Jones is very good. That's not what he meant. It was something about something different. I've never thought of Bill as a mediocre coach, and I've never said that he's a mediocre coach. Sorry. I might have said I might have said something like this if you want to listen. He's had 8+ years without Tom Brady as his quarterback, and in those years he's been a mediocre coach.
That's what you said.
That's what I said.
I remember that.
So that's what I was referring to. It's like you call him a mediocre coach then.
Without Tom
Brady. Very, very important qualifier there, Manny.
Well, I think then everybody's a mediocre coach because they don't have Tom Brady then. But anyway.
Andy Reid's not a mediocre coach.
It's a good point, caller.
That's another great moment from
Hey, Patriots fans, if you want to see Toyota's best offers, including those not seen on TV, go to buyatoyota.com. It's Toyota's official website for deals from the official vehicle of the New England Patriots. Toyota, let's go places. All right, we're off on hour 2. Deuce is in the host seat, so buckle up, strap in. It's gonna get weird. It's gonna get crazy. No, it won't. But first, we have some trivia winners, Matt. I understand. So let's run through those. Thank you to everybody who sent in answers. The first question was we'll see if Alex can get these or Tamara. Chime in if you think. What player did Rob Gronkowski throw out of the club during a Sunday Night Football game against the Colts in 2014? Alex, you got to know this one.
I do know who that is.
Yeah? Probably not Tamara.
Go ahead.
Am I saying it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Wait. Actually, it's a Notre Dame guy. Actually. It's a Notre Dame guy. Go ahead, Alex.
It's Sergio Brown, right?
Sergio Brown,
former Patriot.
Yeah, former Patriot. Threw him out of the club. And Matt, who was the winner on that one?
Chad in Atlanta.
Chad in Atlanta.
Email me your address and your shirt size.
Congratulations. All right, next one. How long was Adam Vinatieri's field goal in the 0-1 Snow Bowl? Now, there were 2 field goals, so I'm going to guess that they're going with the one that tied it to send it to overtime. Any guesses there?
It's 48, right?
48.
I have no guess.
All right, 45.
I'm not
45,
sure.
Maybe it was the overtime one then.
Okay.
I don't know.
Either way, Ezekiel and Charleston got that one right.
There you go, Ezekiel Elliott entering the contest already. Congratulations. Tell him what he's won, Matt. Patriots Unfiltered T-shirt. Send your address in. And now finally, another, this is as much of a layup for Alex Barth as you're going to find. What number did Deion Branch wear during his second stint with the Patriots? Oh, stop.
84. Well, no, because my mind went to 83, and I don't remember which one was which. 84.
84. That is correct. Matt, who got that one?
Tony doesn't say where he's from. That's poor to me. Tony Taylor.
Tony Taylor.
Email me your address, where you're from, and obviously your address and your shirt size.
Tyquan Thornton, Tony Taylor, TT. Congratulations to the winner. And, guys, tune in again. I think next Thursday we'll have another one of those interstitial shows with Matisse as we get those rolling. And, we're going to get in the last hour here. Alex, I know you actually you mentioned something. I'm going to set the stage, Maddie, that clip I sent you. Maybe we can cue that up. But I thought, I'm a big fan of J.T. O'Sullivan's The Quarterback School. And he posted, I believe it was yesterday, a full breakdown of Mac's game. And so I just had Maddie pull kind of the summation, which I thought was nice, and kind of gave a little bit of optimism towards Mac. Go ahead, Maddie.
Mac Jones, preseason, week 2. Now, let's not overreact and go bananas. But for me, it's just refreshing to see the dude in what I consider a competent, comprehensive NFL offense that's given him answers. We're running RPOs. We're getting the ball out of his hands quickly for the most part. We're going empty. He's hanging in the pocket. He's got his pocket movement. He's being aggressive down the field. Now, was it perfect? No. But, it's preseason. It's not going to be perfect. But I thought that there were a lot of positive signs for what this offense can become, what Mac Jones probably should and can be all the time.
So good stuff. I mean, pretty positive. Is that what you kind of took away, Alex, from watching Mac the other night?
Yeah, the big thing for me, I said this going into camp, like my big thing to watch for Mac Jones, and acknowledging we won't get to see it probably until preseason games. He got so sped up last year, and was that going to carry over, or was he going to be able to reset his pocket presence and his confidence in the pocket? And you saw that. He's manipulating the pocket. He's moving around. He's for the most part, feeling the rush. One of those sacks was like 2 seconds the guy got in the backfield. He's not going to feel that. That's a breakdown on the offensive line. But, he's got to make those throws to Hunter Henry and Devontae Parker, because those go balls up the seam, that is going to be what is field stretching for them. So you want him to hit on those throws, and that'll come. You hope that'll come again. It's a preseason game. But in terms of just where he was at mentally, I thought he was at a very good place in that game.
Yeah, this is really scary because in the what to watch for this Titans game, Evan said the same exact thing.
Evan rips me off more than people.
Like we literally
they have like 1.5 brains.
When he talked about what he wanted to see, he said Mac Jones because he had confidence in the pocket. He was so much better compared to last year. Like literally, I was like listening to you just now. I'm like, this is scary. Was he in the room yesterday when Evan was talking?
Nope.
Probably.
Like,
So
just the same things. It's crazy.
The craziest thing is when me and him do mock drafts and we've sent each other, like not knowing what the other person is doing, like, hey, I'm working on my mock. What do you think? And, you know, the other one will be like, yeah, outside of like, you got 8 of the 10 players the same. Like it's,
Marquand McCall again.
Marquand McCall. We both had DeMario Douglas.
Yeah.
What?
This year, yeah, we both had DeMario. I think in the same spot in the draft
That's
too, in that
scary.
same 6th round
That's
pick.
so scary.
Well, part of it is because I find out about these prospects and then I tell Evan about them, and then that's how he knows who to watch. Because I have to tell him because he doesn't watch college football.
See, but I also think that Evan has recency bias. Like
That was my take.
Yeah.
I
He literally
introduced
does.
that. Evan's favorite player in the draft is the last player he watched. I've always said that.
Or Connor McDermott after he just watched Connor. He came in. He's like, I don't know, guys. I think Connor McDermott's putting it together.
That's why anytime he'll text me, he'll be like during draft, he'll be like, I just watched this guy. He's great. I'm like, watch 3 more players and then text me back and tell me what you think of this guy.
So you're a really useful resource for him because you're like the guy that
He will
can
never
go
admit
to.
that, but yeah.
No, well, I mean, I'm sure, but it's like everything, and I mean, you know, you have somebody that you can talk to. I mean, I've just enjoyed in the year having him, where you know, similarly, I don't jump into college football until January, February. I mean, Tamara is already
I'm ready
all
to
over
go.
it.
Well,
yeah, you're already ready
That's
to go.
the thing. People are always it's a double-edged sword because on one hand, people, and Evans included, will be like, how do you know about this guy? Like, what do you? I'm like, because I watch college football, and then he'll be like, why do you watch college football? Because it's worth like I'm getting ahead of the curve. But then the other side of it is, so I'm getting excited, December, January, February leading in free agency. I'm getting all excited about the first round guys. I have my first round mapped out. By the time people start wanting to talk about the first round with me, I'm like, I already did that. Can we talk about this guy in the 6th round I found that I like? Like, I'm just so, and everybody's catching up.
We got to get you to the combine.
That would be cool.
Like, you need to go to that.
Well, honestly, the Shrine Bowl was incredible. I can't thank you guys enough for that. And specifically, I mean, the fact they took DeMario Douglas, he was actually a guy I talked to a lot there.
Yeah.
Not knowing he was going to be a Patriot. And I got a really good idea of the kind of player he was going to be just through those conversations and watching him. So that ended up being incredibly valuable.
It was funny when we were planning it because as we were kind of putting it together, I just had the thought, and I'm like, look, Evan, I'm not saying that I'm going to suggest this, but I'm just going to throw it out there. Like, what are your thoughts on you and Barth doing the Shrine Bowl and then going right to the Senior Bowl and doing the whole circuit? Because I know you guys would eat it up.
I would have done it. He had to get home. He didn't want to be away from home that many days.
Evan, you could see like the little football angel on one, and then his fiance angel on the other shoulder, being like, "No, you can't be gone, but I'd love to go." Oh my God, you could see the battle was real, but that was, you guys did great stuff, and I mean, you got to find a way to get to the combine. I mean, that's just a potpourri of prospects, and I mean, it's super fun. Even for me, who doesn't know, like by that point, I'm like, I just learned about this guy.
Right.
Like everybody makes fun of me. I'm like, so tell me about this Marvin Harrison Jr. guy. Now, I know enough now.
Well, I remember like Evan talked to Deuce Vaughn, and so people who don't know, Deuce Vaughn went to Kansas State. He's a running back. He's 5'5", and he's a good player. He's been tearing up Cowboys camp. He's been like unreal. And so, all right, short running back. Evan, I guess, asked him about Darren Sproles, and he texted me. I asked Deuce Vaughn about Darren Sproles. Like, he got all excited, and I'm like, yeah, of course he did. Darren Sproles also went to Kansas State. They have a relationship. They work together a lot.
You idiot.
Right, and it was like one of those things. So
college football is the best.
It is the best.
Well, see, and Alex, you grew up around here like I did, and it's not really ingrained in you. I mean, Tamara, where you grew up, that's what it is, right? It's part of the culture there. It's we got a couple girls that work in PR that went to Alabama and LSU, and I mean, and growing up, like that just wasn't part of I went to the BC game. That didn't do it, right? Like that's not college.
I honestly wasn't a huge college football fan growing up. I sort of got into it. I applied when I was applying to colleges. I applied to Alabama, Missouri, and Syracuse. So I kind of started following those teams. And then when I got to college, my friends were into it. And then I kind of started to realize once I started doing this, again, I would come into the draft and be late, and it was just so much catch-up work. And I'm like, so wait a minute, you're telling me I can watch football and get ahead of my work and sound smart, like no brainer. Yeah, of course I'm going to. And then I happen to stumble into what is this. It's not even just like the sport itself, the culture around college football. The community around college football is just mostly. It's a big community, and
Except
there's parts
Virginia
of it that
Tech,
suck.
not so much there. That-
Excuse me, I know you've seen the video floating around this time of the year.
Which
It's the
one
best.
is that? They play like
Because
nothing
Enter
else
Sandman.
matters.
Enter Sandman.
I mean, that's
like,
a top 5 entrance
No,
in
it
college
is.
football.
It
And
I literally
saying that, she's going to be insulted that I'd even say top 5 and not top 1.
Literally, like probably top 3. It's like obviously I have to give Penn State there.
Penn State's up there.
Yes.
A&M's up there.
Yeah.
But
like I just every year seeing that video circulated. I think it was circulated like 2 days ago or yesterday. I was just like getting chills. It's
Get
the
ready.
best.
Who they got? Who they got first? Who's Tech got first?
Coincidentally, Old Dominion. When you kept bringing up Old Dominion, I was like, oh,
ODU.
ODU. Yeah. So college football is back. Week 0 this week. I'm super excited about it. And
You're
I
on
think
sideline too, aren't you? Coming up.
I am, but I can't tell you which game.
All right,
It's not announced.
I'm gonna tell you.
Oh.
But I think that this is like gonna be an exciting year, except for the fact that I don't like that the NFL is trying to jump in on like some of the college football traditions. Like some of the games that we have specifically held for college football, now NFL wants them. It's like Black Friday. It's like, no, that's specifically for like college football rivalry games.
Yeah, it's
and now
rivalry
NFL
week.
is trying to take in on it.
Iron Bowl, Egg Bowl, that kind
It's
of
the
thing.
best.
Yeah.
You can't have an NFL game on that day.
Yeah. Okay. That's it for college football talk.
Boo.
I'll take what I can get.
Let's jump over to the phones. Hey, Sean in Vancouver, how you doing?
I'm actually in Montreal today, but from Vancouver. But
Bonjour.
Yeah, I want to clarify something or just express joy in a way, because last week I called in to complain about what was happening with Malik Cunningham in terms of his first appearance in the first preseason game. And with the way the offensive line looked that game, I was afraid that they would have to put him in with the ones just to see what they could do. And unfortunately, with Trent Brown in there, they weren't amazing, but they were good enough that you could actually see some developments, and there were some plays made. So they didn't have to use Cunningham, and I'm happy about that, because now I think he can make it through to the practice squad. You don't have to worry about him being claimed from waivers. So that's what I just wanted to express.
Yeah. Alex, what are your thoughts? Thanks, Sean. What are your thoughts on Cunningham now? I mean, he had that big drive at the end of the game. He's, I saw him yesterday going against the top front seven, running a bunch of read option stuff. I continue to think that his primary thing is getting the defense ready for Jalen Hurts, and I don't know what we'll see tomorrow night out of him, but right now, that to me, it's not trend. It's not continuing to trend where he's getting high level first team offense, those kind of reps anymore. It seems like they're really auditioning him as a receiver now.
Well, the fact they were doing it, maybe he got enough. I think he's going to make the team. The other thing, I still think their long-term view of him is as a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Just based on the work he's gotten. Look, if he's a quarterback, he'd be wearing a red jersey. Like, I know that sounds simple, but
I've literally have said that the past few shows.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, I know that the NFL quarterback is trending in that direction of a guy like Cunningham, but I don't think that's like what they're keeping him for.
And look, he has some skills that I think translate super well to the wide receiver position. Obviously, he's an electric ball carrier. But I think there's an element of some people say, just get him on the practice squad. I don't know. I know he hasn't shown a lot, but there are a handful of teams I think would see him as a good backup, maybe third-string quarterback and roster him. So it's all right. We want to keep you on the roster, but you're still developmental as a wide receiver. Like, I don't think he adds wide receiver, like true wide receiver depth right now. So it's all right. How else can you earn this roster spot for this year so we can keep you around as a project? Is it as a gadget quarterback? Is it as a scout team quarterback? Is it on special teams? We see him do a lot of that. It's probably a little bit of all of it, but that's the thing. They're giving him so many chances to earn a roster spot that that tells me they want him on.
Yeah.
And I don't, he wasn't great as a wide receiver last week. He looks about a guy who's never played wide receiver before should look. But I think he's done enough in enough spots that they can look at it and say, all right, he can plug in a couple spots as an emergency guy. If we need him, we'll keep him around and we'll work with him as a wide receiver.
I mean, even look at what happened with Jacoby Myers, obviously. Like, he literally turned to be a great wide receiver now. So who knows? Maybe Cunningham will follow in those footsteps and be Max like Binky, so to speak.
The other thing I'd say, just in terms of, because people say, well, how long are they going to wait for him to develop? All right, how long are we waiting then for him to develop as a wide receiver? Julian Edelman didn't really start playing wide receiver till year 5. And I'm not saying Malik Cunningham's going to be Julian Edelman, but it's an example of they'll be patient with this guy. Julian Edelman didn't start playing receiver here until his second contract, at least not full time. He'd play here or there, but he's playing defensive back. He was returning kicks. Again, it was that same thing. It was, how can you justify us keeping you on the roster while we work on this, while we build you up this skill set? And they've given Malik Cunningham I think smartly they've given him a ton of chances to do that.
How long did it take for Jacoby to kind of
Well,
get his footing at wide receiver?
That was a little
First
different.
year with Tom,
First year,
tough with Tom,
but
right? Trying to earn his trust, but he was, he produced with every quarterback he played with.
He
so
had
you got to
also-
give him credit.
He'd played receiver for 2 years in college. So he was starting from
Little bit.
Malik Cunningham hasn't played receiver I think since Pop Warner. So he's just starting. Jacoby started from a much higher floor than these guys are. But if you use the college thing, all right, so you switch to quarterback to wide receiver as a junior, senior, call it one developmental year here. That's 3 years. So Edelman got 5. Malik Cunningham, call it right in the middle 4. That's totally reasonable.
Yeah. Let's jump back to the phones. Mike down in Puerto Rico. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Hi, guys. Hi, Tamara. How y'all doing today?
Good.
Hey.
Hey, got a couple of things. This is the first time I've actually tried watching the show live while you are recording it on YouTube.
Hey.
And I have never seen anybody type with 2 fingers and long nails like Tamara has done before. That is a skill set onto itself.
Oh, man.
I
You
was
got
wondering
her.
If you could... that you all live off of this. Who do you think is the fastest typer in the room right now?
Oh, I mean, I'm not gonna lay claim to that.
Sure, I'll
throne.
type
I don't
out a
know. I
sentence.
don't know. Do you type fast, Alex?
I know.
How
I
do you-
don't
are you
know.
confident
I
in your
think I
typing
type
skills?
kind of fast. I type loud. I get accused of being a loud typer, and I'm not
Evan
saying
is
that's
too.
wrong.
I'm talking on your phone.
On the phone.
Oh, on the
no,
phone?
I'm definitely not. I hate
Me.
typing on my phone.
I can type fast on the phone, but it's not going to be correct.
Evan's fast. I mean, you guys see how much Evan tweets. There's just
Yeah.
he's firing out film tweets so I would probably say Evan's probably the best.
We have to take one of those.
Do we get a type off then?
Yeah, there are tests out there. We used to do them in school to see your
the
word
quick
per
brown
minute.
fox
Yeah.
jumped over the
Quick brown
Yes.
fox jumped over
Yes.
lazy
Go.
brown dog or whatever. Yeah.
What else you got, Mike?
Hey, Barth, you're a great addition to the team. I
Thank you.
actually have a game, but I got a couple of comments first.
Yep.
Barth, you're a great addition to the team. Very refreshing voice, very optimistic, and I like how you have no fear whatsoever in checking Evan every once in a while. So
Why would I be
appreciate
afraid of
that.
Evan?
Hey, I don't know. Those polos and then those zip-ups, I mean, they can be very intimidating. So. And is there any way we can get a camera on Morel every once in a while?
No, that legally we can't show him. He's not technically.
Oh, okay.
Just kidding.
So I got,
Why do you want to see me?
I got a couple of games. See if you guys are interested.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. At the end of the season, who is going to have more receiving yards? Bourne and Parker or Juju and Douglas?
I'm gonna go Bourne and Parker.
Bourne and Parker.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I think a few of us, I think we talked about it, haven't been super impressed with Juju. I think you really need to see him in full contact, live game kind of thing. And Douglas is what he is. I'm excited about him. I don't know how much volume he's going to get.
Right.
But I think based on how Bourne's been playing, how much he targets Parker all the time, those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Bourne and Parker
Okay.
too. I really like the direction that Kendrick is trending in.
Yeah.
I mean, you can definitely tell. I don't know if it does have to do with his offseason being the best it's ever been, according to him and Bill, but he's been looking great, and so I'm hoping that he can remain available.
I talked about this with Evan on Catch 22 because Evan was not high on Kendrick Bourne coming into the season. I was. I'm a big Kendrick Bourne guy, and saying, well, this year 6 jump for him kind of came out of nowhere. I don't think so. He was kind of buried in San Francisco.
Yeah.
He had a really good first year. He was on a 1,000-yard pace before he got COVID in December. And then last year, it was never going to happen. He was just set up to fail. So what we're seeing right now is the jump I thought he would have taken last year had his role gone unchanged. Yeah. So I'm incredibly high on Kendrick Bourne this year. I said earlier, I think he's a 1,000-yard receiver this year. I think he's a real chance to be a 1,000-yard receiver this year if he's healthy.
Okay. I got 3 more. More sacks, Uche and White, or Judon and Barmore?
I'm going to go Judon and Barmore, actually.
I'm good at that too.
I think Judon and I think Uche and Judon finish close. But Keon White's not going to play a ton on passing downs. It's just not. He probably could, but that's not how they structure their defense.
Yeah, you got to hope Barmore's
I like
gonna
that
get
pairing with Barmore, especially if he's healthy the entire season. I think it could be just incredible for that front.
Yeah, and it seems like he's kind of, flirting with some top reps. I just didn't love we get out here and, I get it when they want to stop the run and it's going to be Guy and Wise and Godshaw. But you've seen a little bit of him playing that left defensive end spot. So I'd love to get him out there on base downs.
All right, 2 more. More INTs, Gonzalez and Duggar or the Joneses?
Oh, Gonzalez and Duggar.
Yeah.
Is that all 3 Joneses?
I'd still go Gonzalez and Duggar. Duggar's a ball hawk. Gonzalez is going to be the most targeted corner on the team.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. Last
okay.
one.
And last one, unintentional F-bombs. Is it going to be Deuce or Evan?
Me, probably.
Deuce.
Today was going to be an
Deuce.
unintentional F-bomb day because I thought I was going to be coming back from Tennessee late last night, and that's usually when I get the, F-bomb under my breath kind of thing. But that's a good one. I think I'm going to take that
Definitely
one.
Deuce.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Just a quick thing to bring up, too, Alex, you mentioned this, and we talked about Mac a little bit, but Reese is saying that they might keep Mac out of the game tomorrow night to protect him.
Yes. The exact wording was Jones took some hits last week behind a Patrick offensive line. Strong consideration has to be given to hold him out of preseason finale.
Interesting. Paul always says Mike Reese doesn't tweet anything without a purpose or a
Right,
reason
exactly.
or motivation. So it's something to consider. I'd love to see Mac again. Do I think we need to? Not really.
Not behind that offensive line.
I think you probably have to hold Trent Brown out because he's like that. Like, to your point earlier about Strange, like he's like if Trent Brown were to go down.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, things are a little bit tenuous right now on the offensive line, but if he were to go out and not have him on the left side, I think things get even more more scary.
So we did this before on Catch 22. Trent Brown, top 3 most important player on the team. Top 2, is he top 1?
I mean, it's funny because I certainly could say top 3, but I also could say I don't know for sure that he is completely going to be based on his own merit. Like, it's like, I in theory, yes, he's the top guy, but is he going to play like that guy? I mean, I think we all.
Well, his level of play doesn't impact how important he is to the team.
In that case, he could be number 1. Like, if he plays well and he's a dominating left tackle and, you see some of what you saw in that 2018 season of him over there, then you're probably right. Because I think no matter what we get optimistic about the Bill O'Brien offense, I think we all acknowledge that, like, that can all be torn down in 1 second by a defensive line like the Philadelphia Eagles, who have, a bunch of horses that can get after the quarterback. So I just hope that group can come together over the next 2 weeks. I guess, we're not going to see Onwenu tomorrow night. We're not going to see Strange. Then they'll probably have 2 weeks. I mean, you mentioned, Alex, like they've had this group of 5 kind of together for 10 days or so once they moved Reef inside and they started giving So a chance at right tackle. So we'll see how it comes together after, but I don't think anybody knows exactly what we're going to see.
So if we don't see Mac Jones at all, then we could definitely see Cunningham again.
I would think so.
Yeah, I would think so. At least to give Philly something to think about. And, I think at the very least it'd be great to just keep Cunningham around. I like that. Look, the Cunningham of it all aside, I just think you have to acknowledge how dreadful they've been against mobile quarterbacks, especially last year with the 2 examples being Lamar Jackson and Justin Fields, where, it looked like they weren't prepared to handle those things. And they've been repping it so much, even going back to OTAs when there weren't even pads on. They're every day in practice, it's a priority to understand what the read option looks like and what the mobile quarterbacks look like and how to disrupt those plays. So I like how they've been practicing it, Cunningham parts of the side, but we'll see. Julian Hurts is a whole different animal. Back to the phones. Kevin out in Oregon. Hey, Kevin, how's it going?
I'm actually doing pretty good. I had a couple of just things that I wanted to ask you guys. My number one thing, I haven't heard you guys really talk about the Jonathan Jones thing. Is that do you guys have an update on that?
No, but I mean, I think what you've heard from Reese, a couple reports that he's expected to be back. That it's not a big deal. That this has been more precautionary than anything. So that's kind of what we're going by. I think we're all a little bit on blind faith with that because if Jonathan Jones wasn't out there, I do think it'd be a little bit scary. But I think so far with Jonathan, Jack Jones, Gonzalez. I mean, you got 2 second-year guys and a rookie back there. It's we know what the Eagles receiving core looks like. That's not ideal.
I do appreciate that they've kind of been putting bubble wrap around certain people. I know it's frustrating practice wise because you can't really see anything.
Yeah.
But I think that even with Trent Brown, where it was reported that it was a minor injury that they were just kind of trying to take it easy on. Hopefully it's the same with John Jones
and Pop Douglas and
Pop Douglas
a couple of these guys that come and they rehab and then they come back.
Yep.
Yeah.
And not to change the subject, Tamara, I do have a quick one for you. So I get blown up because I live in Oregon, and I'm one of the few Patriots fans here. And that goes back to what you guys were saying earlier, which is would they ever build a stadium here for teams? This state is primarily women's sports. So like they would build a women's soccer stadium before they would build an NFL. That's a real thing. And like the second thing with Ezekiel Elliott, when you did your interview, everybody's blowing me up telling me he's fat. When you were next to him, did you feel like he was normal size?
Define normal sized.
Well, I will preface this by saying I was standing on a box in that video. So I would say, like, he is, like, my first impressions of him, he's a pretty big back. Yeah. And not in a sense of, like, a fat one, but more kind of, like, stocky and tall.
It's thick.
He's a thick guy. And, I mean, honestly, you've seen it when he's out there blocking. So I think it's really beneficial for him to have that, and I think it doesn't really slow him down at all.
I also think he was wearing 2 sweatshirts.
Yeah.
So that'll make him look
Judon
a little
guy.
bulkier. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, Judon's out there with, like, a huge sweatshirt on every day. Like.
Yeah. I'd say too, Kevin. He's moving pretty good.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he doesn't look like he's carrying a lot of
I had
extra
to
weight.
make sure, 'cause
Yeah.
We haven't seen the
that's
six pack that like the
it's
shirt
crazy.
tucked up and everything like he used to have.
Do you think he'll do that? Like tuck in
And
his
I did
jersey?
want one third thing too. Christian Gonzalez. I've seen him get burned 3 times. He plays really soft in the zone. How do you guys feel about Christian Gonzalez? Because he's our first round pick, but he almost seems like he's just trying to feel out where he fits. And it's like he's playing really soft on players instead of just going full on contact. Am I the only one missing that, or?
Go ahead, Alex. You want to jump on? I got a lot of feelings on it. Thanks, Kevin. We'll answer that one for sure.
He's definitely better in man than zone at this point. It's like man coverage. I think he's been very good. Zone, he's still sort of learning his rules and assignments, but he shouldn't be playing a lot of zone. I would hope he doesn't end up playing a lot of zone. So that'll come in time. That's just mastering the playbook and getting chemistry down with the other guys in the secondary. But take your time with that. The plan for him should be to go back to those old Stephon Gilmore, Darrelle Revis, Aqib Talib defenses where it's you and that guy, you could take it over here, and we're going to play it 10-on-10 over here. That should be what he's doing, and zone's not a part of that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, and even coming into the season, I just said, and I think everything I kind of felt coming in was true. This is a 21-year-old kid. He's very young, and he's super athletic. So I think his athleticism has bought him time. And because, I mean, I even think on the PI call he got, he kind of sat, and then he had enough athleticism, which I just thought was remarkable, to recover. Now, he committed the penalty, and, it might have been a little bit of a ticky-tacky call. That's fine. But I think that's what you see a lot with these guys when they're used to just follow the guy, play man. It's not hard, but when you get into zone and match coverage, and there's all kind of rules by how the routes disperse 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, those are mental parts of the pro game that he's going to have to learn. So I've just preached a little bit of patience. I know he's first round pick, 17th overall, but I think that he has all the tools and just that athleticism. It gives him a little bit of time to play with stuff. Like a lot of guys, they squat on that route. They're getting burned. Like there's no way they have the athleticism to make up and get back into phase into the coverage. So, but I hear, I thought we saw good progress in that game though. We saw nice tackle on a screen on 3rd down to get off the field. We saw a little bit of physicality on the sidelines, not without getting a penalty. So I think every time he's kind of taken the field, do you see some room for improvement? Absolutely. But I think he's got all the tools, and I think it's going to progress. There's going to be times he's going to get smoked this year, probably by the A.J. Browns of the world. It is what it is, but take some of those lumps. Even Stephon Gilmore, you brought him up, Alex. Similar kind of thing. I thought when he first got here, when they were trying to play some zone, it's like, oh, man, he doesn't know what he's doing in zone. They figured it out. They get a feel for how their defense works as one, and once they get that down, that they're great. He's 21 years old, so I mean, you're talking guy. He's gonna be 25, 26 at the end of his first contract. He's got a long career ahead of him.
What do you think between him and Sauce Gardner?
I mean, I still think Sauce Gardner was the better player coming out. I mean, I think Sauce, I don't know their exact ages. He's just a little more physical dude. I mean, I think that's what he is. But, it's just, look, we've been watching the Patriots defense forever. They got plenty of physical dudes.
Yeah.
I want athleticism. And that's what I think this, size too. It doesn't necessarily have to be this, I think when they drafted Jawan Williams, we're looking for a big corner who can maybe match up with the bigger receivers. He doesn't have to be that. I just love having a guy with his movement skills in the secondary. I think it's going to make a big difference.
Okay, I love that we're talking about this room because now I have questions. I have not looked at either one of you guys' 53-man roster projections, but where'd you guys have Shaun Wade?
I think he's on the. I mean, I haven't done a 53-man roster, but I think he's right on the cusp right now. And I mean, I love Bolden. I loved Isaiah Bolden. I'm glad to hear that he's doing okay. Hopefully, he's out of concussion protocol. I think that's where you're looking for like one of those extra corners. And when I look at Bolden, I'm like, this guy just looks physically like a stud, and I want him on the field in some capacity. And even speed too, even though I haven't really seen much out of speed at cornerback. But I think if Bolden's going to be out for a while, it might open the door for Wade, who I thought has had a pretty good camp, but I just have never been consistently impressed by him.
I had him off. I have just the main 5 corners, the 3 Joneses, Gonzalez, and Miles Bryant. I think they could get Sean Wade to the practice squad, Amir Speed, Isaiah Bolden, all of them. And the thing about Sean Wade, as good as he's looked, they don't need another slot corner. And Sean Wade's he's not an outside guy. He's a pure slot corner. They've experimented with that, but he's a slot corner. So, I thought Bolden of those 3 had the best chance to make the team because he gives them something they need, a big outside corner. We'll see if he's ready for the season. Obviously, it sounds like he's okay. Like he's just dealing, which obviously is, okay. He's dealing with the concussion, but
you never know with these things.
From where we were Saturday night to where we are now, I would say it's all very encouraging. But we'll see if he's ready for the regular season or not. What happens with that? I thought he had the best chance, but if he's not in the picture, Amir Speed's still very raw. If they keep him, it's to play special teams. I don't think it's to play corner. And again, Sean Wade, if they get to a point where they need a slot corner, he's the guy. But it's all slot corners right now. Jonathan Jones can play both. Marcus Jones, they have him playing both. I don't love him playing on the boundary outside of certain matchups, but he can do that. So it might be a thing if you end up in a spot where you have to have Jonathan Jones and Marcus Jones both playing on the boundary because you're down Christian Gonzalez and you're down Jack Jones. That's where Sean Wade comes in. But even Miles Bryant can play in the slot as well, and he's even gotten some looks on the outside. So
I think Rodney Randall's been okay the last week or so. I mean, I thought he got really picked on bad against the
He had a rough start to camp.
But I mean, look, he's just been okay. I mean, he's made a couple plays in the game, and a nice pass defense was sticking with the guy. So you never know, but it's always interesting how it's going to play out with the practice squad and what they need and where they need depth.
Yeah.
And I think that's an interesting position. But I think generally I agree with Alex. Is it going to be that hard to get those guys through to the practice squad? Probably not, but I continue to be intrigued by Bolden. Unfortunately, I don't know about you guys, but when I was watching the game, I had him on the down list before he got hurt. Like he was getting picked on. He was allowing some catches, and but I think overall he's shown some promise. So I'm still intrigued by him.
Yeah, he's a guy. I don't know that you're going to come out week 1 and put him on AJ Brown, but just the raw tools he showed, it was like keep this guy here and. Maybe late in the season he becomes a guy that you can start factoring in. Because I didn't think he was that far away. He wasn't ready, but he wasn't that far away. He's not that far away. I shouldn't say that in past tense. Like I still think they could do that. But the other wild card here, and it's tough to say, are they flexible with moving Jalen Mills back to corner? Or is he at safety, period, full stop? Because
he's looked good there.
I love Jalen.
I think he's been their best player in the preseason.
Oh, yeah.
I do. He's so natural. He should have been in that role this whole time when they signed him 2 years ago. And granted, right, Kyle Duggar hadn't really broken out yet, so we didn't know. They looked a little thinner at safety than they were, but I was like, oh, he's good. Like Patrick Chung, here we go. And he played corner. He was good. He had some ups and downs. He was good. But this is his role. This is who he is as a player. I love him in that spot. But if you're facing a team that has a bunch of big receivers late in the year and you're down corners, I would rather them move him to the boundary than see 5'8" Marcus Jones struggle with that again. So, but they get hesitant about this stuff sometimes. Mike Onwenu, we were 90 minutes away from James Ferentz starting at left tackle last year against Von Miller, and they still wouldn't move Mike Onwenu out to tackle. So they are stubborn about this.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is going to be one of the cases where they're stubborn, but if it is, it definitely opens the door. As if they are open to playing him at corner, which we really haven't seen at all in camp, then you start talking about guys like Isaiah Bolden and Amir Speed.
I do think it's interesting, like when Christian Gonzalez was drafted, like Jalen Mills' tweet was, y'all know I play safety, right?
Right.
Like I just thought that was like, because I think everyone was probably, messaging him like, oh my God, like who's going to be the odd man out? And that's why he tweeted, y'all know I play safety, right? And I think he's done a really great job there.
He has. He's been fun. I mean, he's they've been active. They've been blitzing him. I mean, it's just he's so much more involved, and it's almost like him and Bourne have kind of like been saved from the dead a little bit. But along those lines, I've got a couple. Just a couple. I don't want to call them awards, but just curious. Some of these for you guys out of training camp, since we're just wrapping it up. Biggest surprise. Who was your biggest surprise?
Ooh.
What was the biggest surprise of training camp for you? Over the last month or so of practices,
like a diamond in the rough type
anything,
of surprise,
just like you're talking,
like
anything that surprised you about this team that you didn't that you maybe didn't quite expect. Because I mean, I'll give you the opposite. What I wasn't surprised about was that they didn't have enough offensive.
That was you saw that coming a mile away.
That might be my biggest.
That doesn't even feel like a fair answer. It should have to be besides that. Biggest surprise, I think I would go between one, how seamless the secondaries looked. I knew they had talent there, but the adjustment in a post-Devin McCourty era, I feel like has gone very well. And guys that told us that, they were always going to tell us that. I don't think it's just them saying it. I think it's real. I think that they have found a new format in terms of communication, in terms of alignment that works. The other one is kind of a half answer. Both Kayshon Boutte and DeMario Douglas potentially being guys. Like, I thought maybe we'd get one like I said earlier. I saw Douglas at the Shrine Bowl. I thought he had some upside. I thought Boutte had some upside, but like, it was like, all right, you took a 50-50 shot on two guys, so mathematically you should get one. To have both of them be in the position they're in, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Bourne, just because I think that coming off a season like he had last year, whether it be off the field stuff, whether it be, not being on the field, whatever it is, some people could have taken that season and just completely like given up. But I think that he kind of like used it as like motivation for this year. And I think that he's off to a great start, especially after signing Juju. A lot of people were tweeting like, Bourne's out of here.
Gone.
Like he's completely out of the picture. And I think that he's worked really hard to make sure that he's still in the mix. And now hopefully that continues to trend in that direction.
I would almost add to that, and I'll give you another one that I wasn't surprised by. I wasn't super shocked Tyquan Thornton ended up being a non-factor. After he sat out the spring, and it was like, oh, it's a soft tissue thing, I was kind of like, all right, this is not the start he needed, and we've seen it with so many wide receivers here before. If you fall behind early, it is so hard to catch up. Yeah. And when he was kind of struggling those first few days, it just based off what we saw in the spring, it almost felt like it was bound to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the best ability is availability.
Yeah.
I think with Ty Montgomery and Tyquan Thornton, both of them, I think that's going to be their biggest weakness is their availability. Like both of them right now, it's like, what's happening?
Yeah. It's hard just with his frame because there's upper body injuries that seem to be recurring, and a lot of times when he's forced into contact, it just he can't go up and out muscle guys for the ball, catch point, any of that stuff. I don't know. It's going to be an in-season thing now with him, so we'll see how it goes. Let's go one more to the phones. Cody out in Hawaii. Hey, Cody, how you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey.
Hi.
Not a long-time listener, but listened to you guys most recently, and now I can't get enough of it. So
nice.
Thank you guys for making this podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, my question was, what do you guys think about the absence of Juwan Bentley in this past preseason game? And do you think that had a major factor in why we couldn't stop the run in the first half?
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about this. Thanks, Cody. Well, I don't know, Alex, how you felt. We got into the show on Tuesday, and we were kind of talking about the run defense,
Yeah.
and I said something like, I got one guy on my crosshairs, and then Paul was kind of like, there's one guy that's really bugging me, and then Evan's like, yeah, there's one guy, and I'm like, let's all say it at once. Mac Wilson. Look, I think it's a couple things. I think, first of all, does Devon Godshaw and are they excited to go into Green Bay week 2 of the preseason and give it their all and run? Probably not. Like, like I heard Teddy J on your show waxing about that, and I'm like, Ted, if I had come up to you as a reporter in 2004 and said, hey, what's up with the run defense week 2 of preseason, you would have probably been laughed me off and been like, don't worry about it, we got this. So I'm not worried about that. I do think Bentley's a big part of it, and I also just think that Mac Wilson against the run is ineffective. Is an ineffective player, and he can't really play rundowns.
It's not his game. It's not his game. He's here to back up Marte Mapu.
Yeah,
that is what I think.
That's
he's here
it. That's
for.
what we said.
And
Get Mapu in that role, right?
Look, not having Bentley hurts, but at the same time, you saw Devon Godshaw getting moved. You saw Carl Davis getting moved, and Juwan Bentley standing behind them shouldn't make any difference in them getting moved or not. This was a good defense against the run last year. They ranked 4th in the league in opposing yards per carry. They were especially good against, traditional run plays, taking out some of that quarterback stuff. So, and they brought just about everybody back. And Devin McCourty wasn't really a run game player. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, they're screwed. Here we go, a whole season not stopping the run. But I would like to see them come out Friday night and kind of put just put it to bed. Just put on tape that, hey, it was a rough game, and that's what it was, and we're back.
I'm wondering if that will even be a focus on Friday. I'm wondering are we going to see D-Hop? Are they going to play him? Do you think?
I don't know. I don't know what the Titans
or
are
do you
up
think
to.
they're just going to run the ball and be like, let's not put him.
Well,
in.
if they run the ball, it's Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
so
who we didn't have to.
There's a
deal
good
with
test.
Yeah, that's a good test. I mean, it was hard not to read a little bit into it when they signed McCall briefly.
Yeah.
oh yeah,
is that an overreaction to, but I think
I don't know. I'm still okay with Carl Davis. I think he's fine for that role, and you got a big nose tackle that's a big mean dude. So I don't know. I'm not too concerned about that. But I guess just one more question for you guys. Like what is your biggest concern about this team going into this season right now?
Definitely the offensive line.
Offensive line.
Offensive line. Because it's like we really can't expect that much out of Mac if he has no time to throw the ball.
Yeah.
Because then what?
It's a non-starter.
Are we just gonna run the ball every play because he can't throw it? Like, is this gonna look like Georgia Tech's offense? Like, what are we gonna do here?
If you can't get a block, none of it matters. That's just the reality of it. And their starting group is fine. The depth significantly drops off after their top 4. I've said this since free agency when they didn't sign one of those top tackles. If anything undoes this offense this year, it's not going to be the coaching. That excuse is gone. It's not going to be the quarterback. I know people want to hate on Mac. Mac will be fine. I don't know how much more than fine he'll be, but he'll at least be fine. The wide receivers, same thing. They're good enough. They're not, they're not world beaters. This isn't the Bengals, but they're fine.
Net neutral offense.
If anything undoes this offense, it's the offensive line and specifically the tackles because the level of NFL talent there is worrying.
Oh, especially the edges in the AFC East are just.
Yeah.
I mean, they're coming.
I would have loved to get, and not just because he's a Notre Dame guy, but Mike McGlinchey, he was available.
Yeah, that was one of my guys. That was one of my guys.
He would have been expensive, but I think per our conversation earlier, like that's not an equate offensive lineman. Like that's like a good offensive lineman.
And that's a guy, not just a good offensive lineman, a guy that fit their scheme very
and
well
play.
and the kind
Plug
of guy
and
they
play,
like.
we're set.
Well,
he's great.
Joe Alt next year. We can talk about Joe Alt.
Where does he go to school?
Notre Dame.
Oh, jeez.
Notre Dame. He's a first-round tackle from Notre Dame. We will talk plenty about Joe Alt.
There we go. I'm going to write him down.
I have a great picture of myself next to Mike McGlinchey when he was at Notre Dame, and like I looked like an ant.
Is it like the Mike
ant.
Reese, Trent Brown picture?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
one of my favorite pictures. I love Mike.
And
That's
I
one
might
of
have
my
been
favorite
standing
pictures.
on a box, and it did nothing.
Giant
Nothing.
humans. All right, we got like 4 minutes left, but Alex, I got to ask you a little bit about Bruce Springsteen. He's coming here to
All right.
Gillette. You're going to 2 shows.
I'm going to both. Yeah.
I took a little time. I wrote down, and I'm not going to say these are the all-time best Bruce songs, but I just put Deuce's favorite.
Like personal favorites.
Personal
There's
favorites.
room for that.
They have some meaning to me, so I'll let you think of yours as I rattle off my 6 that I have here. But these are just my favorites. Tamara, you a Bruce Springsteen fan?
I am not in on this conversation.
You know some of them though, right? Like
I heard the ones in practice that were being played.
that was freaky because it was Bruce Springsteen and Chris Stapleton, which are the 2 concerts I'm going to this summer. And I tweeted out yesterday, and people were like, "You got to be kidding!"
I feel like Bruce for him, it sounds like Swiftie for everybody else.
So there is this really
Bruceys or
there is this really good thing that was written like 7 or 8 months ago. I forget who wrote it, but basically, like the way fans react to the artist, that Taylor Swift is the next generation's Bruce Springsteen within like the storytelling and the way the songs are perceived and the way the fans are. It's very interesting to read. And I'm not a huge Taylor Swift fan. Like I appreciate her, but like there is a lot of overlap in the fans, and it is there is a lot of truth to it.
All right, I drove to New Jersey. I saw Bruce Springsteen in New Jersey. So
I mean, that's where you got to see him.
That's where you got to see
like
him.
Now or like you have in the past?
No, I mean, it was in the year 1999.
Okay. Did you see him at like Meadowlands, or did you see him at the Stone Pony?
Continental Airlines Arena.
Okay.
I think it was where the Devils.
Okay.
The Devils play. Yeah. But these are my songs. I'm going to throw them out there, going from kind of lowest to highest. But
okay.
Tunnel of Love's first one. Had the tape. I forget which album that's off of, but Tunnel of Love. Used to listen to that as a kid. Really liked it. My Hometown. I mean, that's a classic. Love it. I'm Going Down. Special one. College. Used to play it at parties a lot. Love I'm Going Down. Atlantic City. And I got to go with the live version. One of my favorites.
Yeah.
Live version's great. For me, that song was the song I was like kind of into that live album when I was moving to California. So it's like one of those albums like just always. And then the top 2, Thunder Road, Born to Run. The 2 classics. Everybody loves them, but those songs I just feel like are.
And you're not going?
Blast them out. No, I don't love them that much. I mean,
Okay.
I've seen them. I don't know. I got stuff to do.
I would say, I mean, because I got into Bruce because my dad's a big Bruce fan, so that's just like part of the reason I enjoy it so much. Is I grew up listening to it a lot with him. Jungle Land's the song that got me into Bruce because I played saxophone in middle school, and it was like my dad's like, "Oh, the big man," and listen to that
Clarence, yeah,
that chorus. So that one's up there. Born to Run and Thunder Road as well are up there for me. Some deeper cut songs. I don't know if they're deep cuts, but like more so. I really like Darkness on the Edge of Town.
Yeah.
I really like Growing Up. I think that
they said sit down, I stood up, right?
Right.
Oh,
That's a fun. I remember that came on Shuffle when I was like leaving my last college class, and that hit.
Why does he know that?
Kind of deep.
Like on Shuffle, leaving.
Don't you have
because the song is
Yeah.
about like reluctance to become an adult. So it's just like in that moment, I was like, this is kind of ridiculous that this song just came on.
You got to have that, though, Tamara. That's like one of my favorite things is like you hear a song, and sometimes it's a song you've heard 100 times, but you hear it in a new way at the right point in your life, and it just hits different for you.
Yeah.
Now.
Like when the right song comes on at the right moment.
Enter Sandman.
Yeah, there's going to be like there's
Okay.
going to be like acoustic Enter Sandman version. It's going to be like, I have a new perspective now.
Also-
remix.
Also, your homework, Alex,
Yeah.
is I need a video like that one that was been posted of Mike Reese when he was wasn't he at a concert?
Oh, yeah, but that was like a heavy metal
Mastodon.
concert. That's completely different.
We need one.
I'm not going to be that energetic tonight. I'm just going to be relaxed. And then I think that why am I blanking on the name of the song? The Blinded by the Light. Blinded by the Light is one of the, like, just a fun sing-along song. So I like when he covers stuff too.
Because the Night, that's a good one.
Because the Night's a good one.
Adam raised the cane.
Adam raised the cane.
My joke is always just I like songs about old cars and girls whose names end in Y, and that's
He's got you covered.
That's my catalog.
His
But
whole work.
he does some good covers too. Like Trapped is good. His version of Trapped is good. And I would say, as somebody who's also a huge fan of Goodfellas, he has a live cover of "And Then She Kissed Me," which is the song when they're going through the back entrance of the restaurant in Goodfellas, which is just like for me a neat little crossover because one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite artists, and that's like the song from that movie. That or Cream, but yeah.
So there you have it, guys. That's going to do it for this very special edition of Patriots Unfiltered. Be sure to tune in. Patriots pregame show will be at, I believe, 5:45 on Friday as we get ready for the Tennessee Titans. We're going to wrap up this preseason. And Alex, anything you got to pitch? Where are you going to be? You got a pregame, postgame shows? What are you on the radio next?
I'll be on Friday 10 to 2 on I'm filling on Zolak and Bertrand with Joe Murray. So pregame show.
There you go.
Oh no, not Friday. Yeah, Friday, whatever day the game is.
Yeah.
Friday.
Real radio there, and of course next week we'll be back. Catch 22, and of course Patriots Unfiltered. We'll catch you next week.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.
The world's original podcast.